Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Simulating the Apocalypse Era, I create a new body refining system. Chapter 41. The next day, Changjiang Tiancheng of the Zhang family, a wealthy family in the Central Territory, took his 5 sons and drove a cart with 10 spirit beasts, making a huge splash. The old patriarch of the Zhang family was actually born in person. Hasn't he been in seclusion for a long time and stopped caring about worldly affairs? Now he is traveling so extravagantly. Where is he going? There was so much noise yesterday and you didn't even hear about it. The supreme being of Qingshu Mountain personally bestowed a dharma on him, giving the Zhang family the supreme dharma that can delay the decline of their realm. I guess the Zhang family has tasted the benefits. This time I went in person to seek Taoism again. What? Quote. The Zhang family's majestic trip was so powerful that it shocked countless creatures along the way. This is one of the top forces in the central region, and now the main members have set off to Qingshu Mountain. When this news came out, many sect forces finally couldn't sit still. In fact, many forces had learned yesterday that the supreme being of Qingshu Mountain had given the law. It's just that they are waiting to see if the Tao method that can delay the decline of the realm is really feasible. Now, when the clan leader of the Zhang family went out in person, those who were watching secretly could not sit still. They all took their clan's heritage and set off to Qingshu Mountain to offer gifts, just to ask for the Taoism given by Qi Dao. Oh my god, am I reading that right? The golden winged rocks are all out. This clan was famous in ancient times. Even if their numbers are withering now, they still have great fighting power. Even they can't sit still. Quote. It's not just the golden winged Dapic clan. Didn't you see the black crows flying across the sky? They are the blood descendants of the ancient ferocious beasts, the dark blood ancient crow clan, and they also went to Qingshu Mountain under the leadership of their clan leader. Not only that, the silver-blooded humans are also setting off. And the thunder dragon clan. Quote. Oh my god, this is so crazy. All the prominent families in the Central Territory have gone to Qingshu Mountain just to seek the Dharma. Moreover, even those small forces want to try their luck. The Central Territory was completely shocked and regarded Qingshu Mountain as the supreme sacred land. There are even many cultivators kneeling down to Qingshu Mountain from a distance, filled with reverence. In the age of the Dharma end, there is such a supreme being, which is simply astonishing to both ancient and modern times, and its profound achievements. Let me ask, who can go against the trend of the end of law and withstand the oppression of heaven and earth? If you look at the entire ancient history, you will never find another person like this. An old man was extremely shocked and said that it made countless creatures in the Central Territory yearn for it. Many people even felt lucky that they were born in the age of ending Dharma and could witness such a grand event. At this time, even Qi Dao, Qingshu and other elders did not expect that because he gave a little Taoist law yesterday, it actually caused a sensation in the entire Central Territory. The rise of the new system in the age of ending law is a general trend, and the hopes of countless living beings can be seen. The old system will eventually be replaced. This is truly unprecedented and unprecedented. Qingshu sighed as he looked at the countless cultivators coming to worship at the foot of the mountain. Even when Qingshu Mountain was at its most powerful, there was absolutely no such grand scene. Even those outside the world can't do this. Whenever he thinks about it, Qingshu feels that he made an extremely correct decision. Nowadays, the Qingshu sect has risen, and hundreds of tribes from the central region have come to court, all because of the new system created by Qi Dao. This is indeed a general trend and cannot be stopped. Well, this time I just took this opportunity to pass down some Taoism to the world and let them explore it themselves. For now, I will not directly preach to the whole world. There is no need for that at the moment. Qi Dao said, holding his cheek. You have to eat your food one bite at a time, otherwise the new system may be passed down at once, which may cause resistance among many people. Qi Dao's thinking is very clear now. He wants all the elders and brothers in the Qingshu sect to become stronger first. But if he can truly step out of the Qingshu Mountain, he will not be afraid of the erosion of the Dharma ending age. That's true, Qingshu agrees. Not long after, the Zhang family, led by Zhang Tiancheng, came to the foot of Qingshu Mountain again. When he saw that the entire Qingshu Mountain was filled with majestic spiritual energy and was not suppressed by the great Tao of heaven and earth, he was shocked again. This kind of fairy mountain is simply the dream place for all cultivators. Quick, kneel down and salute. Zhang Tiancheng's eyes were hot, but he knew very well that there was a supreme being in Qingshu Mountain who once appeared as a saint. Who dares to make plans for this place? Therefore, he knelt down directly, ignoring the hundreds of shocked looks around him. I'm going. The heads of the Zhang family are here in person. This is a sweet taste. Is the Taoism passed down by the Supreme Being really useful? Zhang Tiancheng's kneeling made all the cultivators worshipping near the foot of Qingshu Mountain excited. They are convinced that the Supreme Being of Qingshu Mountain does have that kind of method. However, Zhang Tiancheng's 5 sons were unwilling to do so, especially when they were watched by so many eyes and felt very humiliated. Kneel down. How dare you not be polite and respectful in front of the Supreme Being? Zhang Tiancheng immediately became anxious and cursed his 5 sons. After hearing this, his 5 sons slowly knelt down, extremely reluctantly. Kneel down when no one can see you. After all, we are a big family. Zhang Tiancheng's youngest son muttered, feeling very dissatisfied. At this time, Zhang Tiancheng had already opened a wooden box with both hands, revealing the treasure inside. When the blood-red light shined out, everyone was shocked again. Oh my god, this can't be the blood-like jade that once made the Zhang family rise, right? This kind of treasure is nurtured by heaven and earth. It can make people constantly transform and understand the great Tao of heaven and earth more easily. The Zhang family's background was also given away directly. The nearby cultivators were all stunned. This kind of treasure has been rare for tens of thousands of years. Anyone who gets it would cherish it. Now it was given away directly by the Zhang family. Zhang Tiancheng, the junior, is grateful to the senior for the gift of the law. He specially sent the earth's blood like jade. I hope the senior will accept it. Zhang Tiancheng was respectful and kept his posture to the lowest level. You know, this is the leader of a top clan, and his strength is comparable to that of the leader. However, after Zhang Tiancheng finished speaking, there was no response from Qingshu Mountain. Zhang Tiancheng repeated the sentence again as cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Finally, there was a response from Qingshu Mountain, and a great pressure came, but it made Zhang Tiancheng's spine shiver and his face changed drastically. Those who are disrespectful will never find the holy Dharma. Go back. Qi Dao's voice resounded throughout the Qingshu Mountain area, and everyone could hear it clearly. When Zhang Tiancheng heard this, he fell to the ground, terrified to the extreme. No, senior, this junior is not disrespectful at all. I would like to ask senior to think again. Zhang Tiancheng said quickly. He has taken out all his family's secrets, including blood and jade. However, there was no response from Qingshu Mountain. Zhang Tiancheng collapsed to the ground like a deflated rubber ball. Soon, he remembered something, and 5 slaps fell directly on the faces of his sons, causing their skin to burst open. He yelled, "A bunch of short-sighted things. No one expected that the Zhang family would come to such an end, but they would end up like this." Zhang Tiancheng's 5 sons were stunned by the slaps, and then felt terrified inside. Just now, Qi Dao's voice spread throughout Qingshu Mountain, and they felt the suffocating and terrifying pressure. At this moment, they realized what kind of terrifying existence they were facing. Being able to kneel down and offer gifts outside this mountain gate is already something that countless people would envy, and hate. However, it is too late to regret now. They have lost their best opportunity. I'm furious. A bunch of short-sighted things. Why did I give birth to you guys? This is a great opportunity for our Zhang family to rise. Zhang Tiancheng was so angry that he vomited blood. His heart was trembling, and the pain was excruciating. He knew that the moment the Supreme Being spoke, the Zhang family had no chance at all. What kind of blood is like jade is not enough to be seen in front of that kind of existence, and it is not enough to make it tempted. For a moment, Zhang Tiancheng's 5 sons covered their ulcerated faces and lowered their heads. They were at a loss in their hearts. How could they still have the disrespectful heart before? Tisk, tisk, this is the end. The Supreme Being can overlook everything in the world with a single thought, and cannot hide even the faintest voice from his heart. I guess these 5 worms from the Zhang family are unwilling to do so and don't have any respect at all. Otherwise, I can't get any more benefits. Such a pity. Of course, the Zhang family did a good thing and set a big trap for others. Ha 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 ha. Quote. At the foot of the mountain, many cultivators snickered secretly. The Zhang family was completely embarrassed. Zhang Tiancheng was furious and left immediately, ignoring his 5 sons. Soon, news about the Zhang family spread, and those ethnic groups who came to worship were all sounded the alarm and knew that they must be in awe of the supreme existence. Although as long as there is no hostility, everything will be fine, but the problem is that the Tao method that can delay the decline of the realm is too tempting. Who doesn't want to get it? Therefore, each of the groups who came to worship looked at themselves and came with the greatest respect. Please give me some energy. When you reach the foot of the mountain, kneel down and kowtow step by step until you reach the mountain gate. Do you understand? An old turtle is teaching his offspring a lesson. Is this really useful? How can our things compare to the Zhang family's earth blood like jade? When the time comes, aren't you going to return defeated? The little turtle following behind said worriedly. The old turtle rolled his eyes immediately. In fact, he was a little hesitant in his heart. No matter what, sincerity leads to spiritual success. Who can really take out something that a supreme being likes? In the end, you still have to be respectful. The old turtle teaches his descendants a lesson. This scene happened among the various ethnic groups who came. After all, the Zhang family's affairs have spread directly. Who dares not to be respectful? Not long after, a group of people arrived at the foot of Qingshu Mountain. In order to express their respect, they kowtowed step by step and worshipped devoutly from the foot of the mountain to the front of the mountain gate. The Zhang family is really a good person. They successfully tested the water for the wealthy family who came to worship later. If I'm not mistaken, they are the White Ape clan who claimed to be the invincible King Kong. Now they are kowtowing step by step and climbing the mountain. Not only that, the golden-winged Dapeng clan has also arrived, transformed into human form, and worshipped up the mountain in the lowest posture. The Thunder Dragon clan is also here. Let's put aside our grievances with the golden-winged Dapeng clan for the time being and climb the mountain together. Oh my god, these are all led by the leader of the clan. The battle must be too big. Once upon a time, was there such a grand scene in the world? Hundreds of major clans in the central region come here to worship and seek enlightenment. What happened today is destined to be recorded in ancient history and shock the past and the present. Quote. There are more and more pilgrims at the foot of the mountain, all coming to seek enlightenment and with the most sincere respect. This shocked the disciples who were practicing on Qingshu Mountain and became dizzy after seeing it. I'm going to report to senior brother quickly that someone is climbing the mountain again. What kind of big shots are these? They all have extraordinary auras, and now they are all climbing mountains in such a humble way. I heard from people outside that it seems that all the big families in the central region are here. What? Such an exaggeration. Brother Headmaster, you won't let them in, right? Qingshu Mountain can't accommodate so many people. No, the headmaster brother said that outsiders can only stay outside the mountain gate, and any trespassers will be punished by the 10 tribes. Hiss. Now, even the ordinary outer disciples on Qingshu Mountain are discussing, and then they are glad that they entered Qingshu Mountain early. Soon, Qi Dao, who was trying to create a new method, received a notice that a group of people from the foot of the mountain came to worship, bringing the treasures of the clan to seek enlightenment. Are you moving so fast? Qi Dao was slightly surprised, and then he let go and enveloped the entire Qingshu Mountain. Jin Zanjiao, the leader of the golden-winged Dapeng clan, came here to worship with a drop of phoenix blood, the clan's most precious treasure. He asked for the holy Dharma. Please give me the Dharma from your seniors. Lei Tunpeng, the leader of the Lei Jiao clan, came here with the dragon bone, the clan's most precious treasure, to worship and seek the holy law. He Wuji, the junior leader of the Dark Blood Ancient Crow clan, brought the clan's most precious treasure, Kunpeng Lingyu, to worship and seek the holy law. The junior Dragon Turtle clan came to pay homage. The younger generation of silver-blooded humans came to pay homage. The 4 elephant beasts came to worship. Quote. In just 1 hour, at least 50 or 60 ethnic groups came to seek help. When they heard the treasure they presented, the surrounding independent cultivators were extremely surprised. In the past, when had they seen so many treasures at one time? You're crazy. All the big clans have offered their own treasures to seek help. The legendary phoenix blood has appeared. It is said that it is the supreme divine item that can make people reborn as nirvana. Even a drop of it is enough to shock the world. More than that, the dragon bones of the Thunder Dragon clan are so amazing. That's a real dragon bone, hard to find in the world. Kunpeng also has feathers. Who dares to pluck Kunpeng's feathers? That is definitely a treasure left behind infinite years ago. Quote. Speaking of those ancient ferocious beasts, the independent cultivators here all have a feeling of panic. Now that this kind of magical object has reappeared, even Qi Dao from Qingshu Mountain has personally cast his gaze over it. A drop of phoenix blood can attract flesh and blood and increase the potential of flesh and blood. It's a good thing. The dragon bone is also very good. It also contains a lot of energy and blood, which can strengthen the physical body and tap into its potential. The Kunpeng field is also pretty good. Qi Dao commented in his mind that this time there was finally something that made his eyes shine. It's not that he wants it, these things don't have much effect on him. The problem is, he wants to use these things to baptize the physical bodies of the elders and disciples so that they can grow up faster. I give to you what I take. Those who respect me will gain the Dharma. Qi Dao's voice shook the sky, and he took away some of the treasures, and then gave them a new system of Taoism that could slow down the decline of their realm. Even if it is only a small part of the new system of Taoism, it makes those seekers crazy about it. Aha! After Qi Dao spoke the Dharma, dozens of divine lights fell, and all the wealthy people who came to seek Taoism received part of the new system of Taoism. With this technique, you can effectively slow down the decline of your realm. Qi Dao's voice is not loud, but it is really exciting and shocking. The patriarchs of the big clans just understood it briefly and discovered the secret, and then their eyes filled with tears. Ha ha ha, it really works. I won't have to fall any further for at least a month. The same goes for mine. My cultivation has been consolidated. Even the erosion of the Dharma ending era cannot suppress my cultivation to the end at once. Thank you, Senior, for the gift. Such an unfathomable method subverts our understanding and surpasses all ancient methods. If this is a method created by the Senior himself, the merits should be passed down to the ages, and we should all respect the ancestor of the method. Quote. The patriarchs of the big clans all said excitedly, causing more clans to stir up a stir. When they learned that they had definitely benefited, those small tribes also came over with their tribe's treasures. Although it is not a treasure, they are still some precious things. The most important thing is that they come with sincerity and awe, kowtow step by step, and come with the purpose of pilgrimage. For such a small ethnic group, Qi Dao also gave some of the new system's Taoism, allowing them to delay the suppression of the age of ending law. It really works. Under the oppression of this age of law ending, I was actually able to delay the decline of my realm through the Supreme Being's gift of magic, ha ha ha. The Supreme Being of Qingshu Mountain is definitely worthy of the title of Patriarch. Senior, please accept our homage. All the creatures in the central realm were in tears, receiving varying degrees of care. Qi Dao is very friendly to these respectful creatures. During this period, there were some creatures with evil intentions, but they were not hidden from his discernment and were directly seen through. In just 2 days, Qi Dao's blessings blessed the entire central territory, and the seeds of the new system of Taoism were successfully planted. This also caused the news to be too sensational, and even people from great religions came from the other 3 regions. There is even an independent cultivator who kowtows step by step and comes from thousands of miles away, crossing mountains and rivers just for the purpose of pilgrimage. His perseverance is touching. Of course, except for the people in Qingshu Mountain, outsiders don't know that Qi Dao has developed a complete new body refining system. Brother, there have been so many people making pilgrimages to the mountain these days, and so many treasures of heaven and earth have been sent to me. I'm even dizzy. At Qi Dao's retreat, Yu Qing was spinning with joy, because Qi Dao also gave her some treasures to hang on her body as jewelry. Among them, those treasures such as phoenix blood, dragon bones, etc. were refined by Qi Dao, and then the power of flesh and blood was enhanced for everyone in the sect, and the rain and dew were all stained. In the past few days, just the treasures of heaven, materials and earth they collected have allowed them to successfully lay a foundation of flesh and blood in the blood refining realm. Among them, most of the elders and disciples have reached the limit of their own flesh and blood, and it is difficult to break through and enter the realm of spiritual nourishment. The remaining few are Qingshu and Yuxuanzi, a few supreme elders who continue to explore the potential of flesh and blood and want to go further. It's up to them. They want to ask for the Dharma, so give them a small portion to try. Speaking of which, you have broken through to the realm of spiritual nourishment. How do you feel? Qi Dao asked. He knew that after Yu Qing reached the strength of 200,000 kilograms of flesh and blood in the blood refining realm, it would be difficult to continue, so he directly chose to break through to the realm of spiritual nourishment. In the past few days, he had been dealing with people who came to seek help, and he had no time to take care of the elders and disciples. It feels very good, as if there is a me growing crazily in every inch of flesh and blood. Yu Qing describes the feeling of being in a spiritual state. This surprised Qi Dao. What does this feel like? Afterwards, he checked Yu Qing's flesh and blood strength and breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that there were no hidden dangers or dangers. Let's go to the dojo and call the elders and brothers. It's time to preach. Qi Dao smiled slightly, and Yu Qing immediately jumped up and ran as fast as he could. This time, Qi Dao still heard the sound of Taoist scriptures from the 5 major palaces of life, baptizing the bodies of all the elders and disciples with the power of the most sacred and peaceful scriptures. On that day, the holy light on Qingshu Mountain was majestic, and the 3 holy medicine plants were bathed in the sound of Taoist scriptures, absorbing nutrients, and became a little more mature. What Qi Dao found most outrageous was that a little creature from spirit communication in Qingshu Mountain came over and listened to the Taoist teachings under his seat. A little squirrel. When a cute little girl crawled onto his lap, Qi Dao was stunned for a moment. He looked at it and found that its eyes were clear and very humane. Greetings, Master. Can I listen to the Fa here? The little squirrel asked with his big round eyes, a little timid. Fortunately, Qi Dao is not aggressive and allows them to sit around their futon and listen to the teachings of the new system at close range. However, what made Qi Dao dumbfounded was that soon more beings from spirit communication came over. Among the batches of little guys, there are ordinary spiders, cabbage bugs, carps, and loaches. They are bathed in the Taoism of the new system all day long, and it is even more difficult not to think about spirit communication. Not to mention that Qi Dao uses its own divine springs to turn into lakes and springs that flow throughout Qingshu Mountain. A drop of those divine springs will be of great benefit to them. Listen and listen, just don't scare people. Qi Dao accepted them all and did not exclude them. Thank you, Master. A group of wild little guys just joined the team practicing the new system. They were all solemn and looked very funny. In just one day while Qi Dao was preaching, Qingshu, Yuxuanzi and other 6 supreme elders finally made a huge breakthrough. Ha ha ha, I successfully reached the limit of the power of 600,000 flesh and blood, laid a solid foundation for Tao Foundation, and successfully broke into the realm of spiritual nourishment. Elder Qingshu could not conceal his inner excitement and laughed. I have also made a breakthrough and reached the realm of spiritual nourishment. The new system is extraordinary. It's all thanks to the Master these past few days. He baptizes our bodies with heavenly materials and earthly treasures every day, and recites Taoist scriptures to guide us on the way forward. That's why we can practice so fast. The Supreme Elders all laughed, extremely happy. After their breakthrough, they can clearly feel the improvement in their strength. Even if it can't reach the limit of Qi Dao, it can still be called extraordinary. The elders are welcome, this is what I should do. Qi Dao smiled. The elders had devoted everything they had to training him and buying time for him. Now it was time for him to repay the favor. For the next 3 days, Qi Dao kept preaching. At the same time, he was also gaining insights and trying to create new methods to maximize the power of Taoism. On the 4th day, there was a huge commotion outside the sky. There was great pressure from the saint, and a divine path extended directly from the sky to the foot of Qingshu Mountain. This is the arrival of the ancestor of the outer world dojo. On this day, there was a sensation in the sky, and countless stars in the universe trembled under the holy power. The creatures in the central territory immediately felt the tremendous pressure coming, which made their souls tremble and they couldn't help but crawl on the ground. This is the ancestor of the outer world dojo has arrived. Oh my God, even the ancestors of that level were alarmed and came to Qingshu Mountain. What is the purpose? Could it be that we are all here for the Taoism of the Supreme Being in Qingshu Mountain? If this is true, doesn't it mean that only the Supreme Being of Qingshu Mountain has the power to resist the suppression of the Dharma ending age? Quote. I don't know how many people in the outside world are speculating, and then there is a sensation. After all, this kind of ancestor-level figure who lives in the outer world will not show up once in many years, and he is always aloof. Now just seeing the arrival of Shinto, they all became inexplicably excited. And soon, a kind old man appeared on the divine path outside the sky, carrying a majestic holy energy. He quickly descended from the sky and landed at the foot of Qingshu Mountain. Following behind him were two young and beautiful girls, each holding an antique wooden box in their hands. Even if he tried his best to control his aura, he still made countless creatures in the world surrender. This is the supreme existence at the level of holy life. Every move is lawful, and a single thought can travel hundreds of millions of miles. The ancestor-level figure has really arrived, and he has arrived in his true form to visit Qingshu Mountain. I want to record this earth-shattering moment. How rare is it to see an ancestor? I will tell my descendants from now on that I have seen ancestor-level figures with my own eyes. Quote. I don't know how many creatures in the Central Territory are excited. At this time, on Qingshu Mountain, Qi Dao was also alarmed. The elders and disciples on the mountain were a little frightened. This was the visit of an ancestor-level figure. However, Qi Dao quickly took action to isolate the pressure of the holy life level. Even the ancestors at the holy life level could not suppress Qingshu Mountain with pressure. Elder, you continue to practice and leave other matters to me. If you are looking for trouble, I'm not afraid. Qi Dao appeased everyone, and then personally walked out of the mountain gate to greet the visiting ancestor. Ha ha ha, fellow Taoist has achieved such profound achievements at such a young age. He is indeed unprecedented and unprecedented. I am the old patriarch of the Stone Clan in the world. Others call me Patriarch Gutuo. Fellow Taoist can just call me Shituo. The ancestor-level figure who came here smiled and said, very easygoing, and introduced himself to Qi Dao without any ill intentions. But everyone knows that such a character can only be so easygoing when facing beings of the same level. It turned out to be the legendary ancestor Ji Yu Tuo. He was an ancient man who became enlightened 500,000 years ago. His strength is unrivaled in his generation, and he is still alive today. Some living beings were shocked after learning the origin of this ancestor-level figure. In fact, among the beings who can reach the realm of holy destiny, which one is not the most talented person in the generation? Polite. How can I turn away distinguished guests from far away? Please. Qi Dao saw that the other party did not come with hostility, so he directly let him enter the mountain gate. This was his extreme confidence in his own strength. When Shi Tuo heard this, he nodded secretly in his heart. Later, the Shinto spread out from Qi Dao's feet, leading Shi Tuo and the two girls behind him to the cave mansion on the top of Qingshu Mountain, which was his retreat. My friend, this place is extraordinary. The Tao is immortal and can block the erosion of the great Tao of heaven and earth. It is truly a shocking method. In this age when we are all corrupt, fellow Taoist can achieve this step. He is truly amazing and talented. I admire him. Shi Tuo observed along the way and felt a storm in his heart. No matter where he was on Qingshu Mountain, it was filled with the aura of new Taoism that he had never experienced before, which really shocked him. And behind him, the two girls who followed were even more shocked. They didn't expect that there is such a place in the world that can withstand the oppression of heaven and earth. It is simply a dream land. Of course, they pay attention to their image. After all, they come from a foreign country and are very reserved. It's just a small trick, not worth mentioning. I think Patriarch Shi Tuo came here this time for my Taoist teachings, right? Qi Dao goes straight to the point. This ancestor once sensed the breath across the endless sea of stars when he was in retreat. Unexpectedly, after 5 or 6 days, this ancestor came across the vast sea of stars and paid a visit. In other words, this person knows that he has survived the past, present and future tribulations and has mastered a Taoism system that is different from the old Taoism. What fellow Taoist said is absolutely correct, so I'll get right to the point. I came here this time to maintain my cultivation and discuss the Tao. Fellow Taoist must also know that at your level, every time you fall down, it is an unbearable burden. Fellow Taoist has successfully survived the tribulations of the past, present and future. I want to borrow the method from a different Taoist system. Shi Tuo's intention was similar to what Qi Dao had guessed. However, Qi Dao smiled and shook his head. I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. I have no Taoist method here that can maintain my cultivation. The era of Dharma ending is irreversible, and no one can go against heaven. Qi Dao said. This surprised Shi Tuo, and he immediately called the two girls behind him to touch the wooden box and open it. Please rest assured, fellow Taoist, I am not coming empty-handed this time. This is a complete holy medicine named Mountain and Sea. It is still full of vitality and can help fellow Taoist improve his cultivation. In addition, this is a piece of heavenly blood like jade, a thing from innate before chaos. As long as fellow Taoist is willing to teach the Dharma, these two things will be given to fellow Taoist. Shi Tuo said. The elders of Qingshu Mountain were shocked after hearing this generosity. A complete holy medicine was given away as a gift. Not to mention that there is a piece of heavenly blood like jade as big as a fist, and earthly blood like jade is like a piece of broken stone compared to it. However, Qi Dao took a look and felt extremely calm. I said, the old ways cannot be restored and cannot be maintained. Don't think that I can temporarily block the suppression of the Dharma ending era here. That's because the most cruel time of the Dharma ending era has not yet arrived. If it reaches the point where the ultimate method of heaven and earth is reached, even my little tricks can't stop it. Of course, for the sake of the two treasures of fellow Taoist, I am still happy to discuss Taoism. Qi Dao smiled slightly and formed a stone table and two futons, gesturing for the other party to sit down. What do fellow Taoists say? Shi Tuo was a little confused and always felt that Qi Dao was too mysterious. Although he also observed Qi Dao transcending tribulation before, he only knew that Qi Dao was another body refining system, and did not think it could ignore the suppression of the Dharma ending age. Sit and discuss, fellow Taoist knows himself. Please. Qi Dao stretched out his hand to signal the other party, then sat cross-legged on the futon. Then please ask fellow Taoist for advice. Shi Tuo was confused, but he still agreed, very seriously. After all, when discussing Tao with opponents of the same level, any point of Taoism is the most terrifying collision. It's said to be a discussion, but it's actually a fight at another level. You can know the opponent's methods in an instant, and you can tell the difference. Soon, Qi Dao pointed out an ordinary finger, which was the Dao method of the new system, and evolved into a pen bird. Shi Tuo used the vast laws of the old ways to evolve a Vajra ape, which seemed to be about to explode the universe. At first glance, it seems that Vajrapithecus has the upper hand and is aggressive. However, just after the fight, the Vajra ape evolved from the old Dao was directly torn apart, and the Penganao of the new system of Dao was extremely ferocious. It only took a moment, and the supreme confrontation between the old and new systems came to an end. The discussion has only just begun, and the top battle has already ended, with ancestor Shi Tuo falling directly behind. In the eyes of the two of them, the Vajra ape performed by the Taoist method fought hard, and its terrifying Taoist method suppressed countless stars. It was the embodiment of some supreme Taoist method. However, this Vajra ape, which could shake down the stars at will, was chased by a seemingly ordinary rock. That Penganao carries a completely different Taoism, and every move goes against the general trend of heaven and earth, easily defeating all the methods of the Vajra ape. Puff! The Vajra ape was torn apart again, and the blood of Taoism was spilled. Roar! It was unwilling to give in, and its ferocity exploded, flooding it with the most terrifying laws. There were at least hundreds of methods, which reflected the level of holy life. At this moment, it seems that the real universe is shattering, and the infinite sea of stars is dim and lifeless. Shi Tuo wants to make a last-ditch effort. However, the Peng bird was too scary. The sharp claws easily broke through the Tao of the Vajra ape and shattered countless stars. What's even more terrifying is that every feather on the Penganao represents the original law of the new Tao system and is the purest embodiment of the great Tao. Zheng, the Peng bird passed by at last, and its terrifying edge cut off the Vajra ape, completely defeating the unwilling ancestor Shi Tuo. Puff! Soon, Shi Tuo's face changed drastically. He opened his eyes suddenly, and then spat out a large mouthful of holy blood with law fragments, his eyes filled with horror. Ancestor! The faces of the two girls behind him changed drastically. They know very well how terrifying their ancestors' cultivation is. He is a terrifying genius who is unrivaled in an era, covering the sky with one hand. Since ancient times, there have been few opponents, and they have never been defeated in discussions of Tao. But just today, their ancestor coughed up blood and was defeated by a young man who looked to be only about 20 years old. Look at Qi Dao again, his white clothes are fluttering, and he is transcendent and refined, without any influence. Fellow Taoist, good trick. If this was a real fight, I would have been killed immediately. He is indeed an amazing genius who has survived the tribulations of the past, present and future. Shi Tuo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and accepted his defeat directly. In fact, he already knew it in his mind, and he knew it when Qi Dao easily killed the ancient, modern and future tribulations. Now I just want to confirm the situation, it is indeed true. Even at the same level, Qi Dao's methods are incomprehensible and can easily kill beings at the holy life level. As soon as these words came out, the two girls were even more shocked. Their ancestor actually admitted it to himself. How terrifying is the young man in front of me. Ancestor Shi Tuo is not bad either. I attacked with all my strength, and then I barely gained the upper hand. Qi Dao said very modestly. Then he added, I wonder what Patriarch Shituo learned from this discussion. Discussing the Tao is the method that can best reflect the level of the opponent's Taoism. Once you make a move, it is equivalent to showing the opponent your cards, and there is nothing to hide. Therefore, Qi Dao directly demonstrates the new Taoist system. He thought that for such an ancestor-level figure, he could still see it easily. Fellow Taoist, wait a minute, I will slowly understand it. After Shi Tuo calmed down for a while, he closed his eyes and realized. Not long after, he suddenly opened his eyes, filled with holy power. If it weren't for the Qi Dao town here, the entire Qingshu mountain would have been reduced to ashes. At this moment, Shi Tuo's eyes were full of surprise, his breathing was rapid, and he couldn't calm down. Fellow Taoist, this method of yours actually ignores the rules of the old way. How did you do that? Shi Tuo said in shock. He had not been so moved for hundreds of thousands of years. He was convinced that Qi Dao's methods were all-powerful, and this Taoism that ran counter to the old ways made him extremely jealous. If I said this is a newly developed body refining system, would you believe it? Qi Dao knew he couldn't hide it and had no intention of hiding it. At this level, everyone can deduce one or two of each other. New body refining system. What an old ghost said that day actually came true. Shi Tuo was so excited, he didn't expect that he would gain so much from this trip. The new body refining system can ignore the rules of the old way and block the oppression of heaven and earth. Fellow Taoist, you have started a great era. I didn't expect that when the age of ending Dharma comes, I would have the opportunity to witness the rise of the founder of a new Dharma system. Shi Tuo's lips trembled and he could no longer remain calm. He figured it out in a flash. Otherwise, how can we survive the future calamity? That is a terrifying force from the distant future. Only the founders of new systems for future generations can be fearless. What kind of different Taoist system is this? Even though they may seem similar in meaning, they are actually very different. In response, Qi Dao smiled and said nothing. After a long time, Shi Tuo finally calmed down, but his eyes were still full of shock and an unreal feeling. Fellow Taoist's move can no longer be described as shocking the past and the present. Looking at the entire ancient history, who can create a new body refining system in the Dharma ending era? Many people can't even absorb spiritual energy. Shi Tuo said again, feeling uneasy. No one else can develop a new system of body refining in the prosperous age, let alone in the age of Dharma ending. For a moment, he felt reverence for Qi Dao, and his eyes changed subtly. Ancestor Shi Tuo was joking. This is just a helpless move. Everything he did to protect himself. If you were forced to this level, anyone could do it. Qi Dao smiled and said, this is naturally a modest statement. Fellow Taoist is too humble. Now, I just want to know, can the new body refining system help me maintain my current cultivation level? If it can be done, I will be able to control the entire tribe for fellow Taoist for 100,000 years. I'm even willing to be a groom, following behind fellow Taoist. Shi Tuo returned to the topic and asked excitedly. However, he still got a negative answer. I said, the old way is irreversible, it is the general trend of the world, and the new system cannot help the old way maintain the current level of cultivation. Unless you dare to abandon your current cultivation, start from scratch, and cultivate a new system of Taoism, only then can you stop the erosion and suppression of the Dharma-ending world. Qi Dao told the only way, which completely negated the old way. After all, the old way is consistent with the environment of the great world. Once the heaven and earth are exhausted, the old way will not be able to be practiced. Hearing that he was going to cut off his cultivation, Shi Tuo fell directly into conflict. He came here to preserve his cultivation, but he learned from Qi Dao that he had to cut off his cultivation. This was equivalent to destroying his life. Shi Tuo knew very well that even if he cut off his cultivation and started all over again, it would take a long time to cultivate a new system before he could reach where he was now again. But now in the age of ending Dharma, the other side of the cosmic sea of stars has become more and more turbulent day by day. Without cultivation at the level of the holy life, there is no way to stop the coming turmoil. Is it really impossible? Ancestor Shi Tuo sighed softly. His cloudy eyes seemed to be an opening heaven, full of strange phenomena. At this point, who doesn't want to keep his current cultivation level? The cost of doing it all over again is too high, and it requires a lot of courage. If it were any ancestor here, he would be hesitant. You should know very well that the old ways are irreversible, otherwise why would you despair in this age of Dharma-ending times? It's because there is no way out. If we don't open up a new body refining system, eventually everyone will become ordinary and fall from legend to reality. Qi Dao continued. After a long pause, he added another sentence. Of course, I can pass on some of the new system's teachings to you, which can slow down the decline of your realm. As for completely maintaining it, it is simply impossible. Is this true? Shi Tuo's eyes lit up. Even if it only delayed the decline in realm, he was extremely shocked. He has tried all the methods in the world today, even the ancient methods, but without exception, none can stop the erosion of heaven and earth. Qi Dao can delay his decline by just spreading a part of the new system's Taoist teachings. This shows how incredible the new system is. It's true. When Qi Dao pointed it out, it was an ordinary-looking scripture. When practicing this method, remember to focus on flesh and blood and abandon the old way. Otherwise, it will inevitably go crazy. Qi Dao reminded. Okay, thank you fellow Taoist for teaching me the Dharma. Shi Tuo started practicing impatiently. According to the method mentioned by Qi Dao, he mainly used flesh and blood and did not use spiritual power at all. After a moment, he opened his eyes and clearly felt that the suppression of the world was much weaker on him. Ha 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 ha, good means. He is worthy of being the founder of the new Taoism system. I am lucky enough to meet Shi today and get this method. I can be regarded as witnessing the only one in eternity. The talent of fellow Taoist is truly unprecedented. Shi Tuo sighed. This surprised the two beautiful girls who followed him. Their ancestors had not laughed so heartily for many years. They had always been aloof, like living fossils. Now I can be so happy. Yaoer, Shui, bring up the holy medicine and the heavenly blood like jade. Fellow Taoist, I keep my word, this holy medicine and the heavenly blood are yours. Shi Tuo greeted, extremely generous. Even if the Taoist teachings Qi Dao gave only slowed down his decline, he still gave them without hesitation. Ancestor. His two granddaughters were very reluctant to part with it. This was the only holy medicine among their stone tribe, not to mention the blood that was as good as jade that day. It was extremely precious, enough to make the creatures at the holy life level go crazy for it. I keep my word, bring it up. Shi Tuo glared, and then the two granddaughters reluctantly offered it to Qi Dao. Qi Dao did not refuse this, because he needed these holy medicine and heavenly blood like jade to baptize the flesh and blood of the elders and disciples of Qingshu Mountain to help them go further in the new Taoist system. Then I won't be polite. However, these two treasures are very valuable. I would like to personally owe Patriarch Shi Tuo a favor. If there are difficulties in the future, I will take action once to resolve the difficulties for the Stone Clan. Qi Dao accepted holy medicine and heavenly blood as jade and said, only by equal exchange can the cause and effect be balanced. At this level, Qi Dao pays great attention to cause and effect, because there are too many involved, so you have to be careful. Okay. With the words of fellow Taoist, I feel relieved. This trip was not in vain. If you need me in any way, Fellow Taoist can come to me at any time. Ancestor Shi Tuo laughed. He assessed in his mind and immediately figured out that the exchange was worthwhile. He knew very well that Qi Dao, as the founder of the new Taoist system, had reached this point, which already meant a complete rise that even the great Dao could not stop. It is no exaggeration to say that looking to the future, Qi Dao is the only person who can escape from the catastrophe and turmoil and will be transcendent. Shi Tuo foresaw something in his mind in advance, knowing that his tribe would be safe in the future, which was a big blessing. In comparison, a holy medicine and heavenly blood like jade are really nothing. Fellow Taoist, before I leave, I have to remind you. The other side of the Star Sea has begun to be turbulent, and bloody battles have broken out. The most terrifying suppression in this world is about to truly come. Ancestor Shi Tuo quickly said seriously again. He came from the other side of the universe and knew how terrifying the turmoil and war that broke out were. In comparison, this star domain is quite peaceful. After all, Qi Dao is in charge and has passed down some of the new system's teachings, slowing down the decline of the realm. Otherwise, the shopping spree will not be stopped. How do you say this? Qi Dao asked. The age of Dharma ending is too cruel. The cultivation of cultivators must be repaid to heaven. And the only way the world knows to maintain one's own cultivation is to extract the origin of others. This is the root cause of the turmoil. It has deepened the grievances between some forces that are already full of contradictions. It is much more cruel than before the Dharma ending era. In order to maintain our cultivation and preserve everything we have, even the descendants of my clan are no exception. Ancestor Shi Tuo said quietly, with some fear in his eyes. I once deduced that the current Dharma ending era is just the beginning. It can be regarded as a warm-up. The real horror is yet to come. It will not only cut off the Tao, but also cut off the longevity of all practitioners. I am afraid that it will truly reach the point of absolute magic. By then, even existence at our level will be threatened by terror. As far as I know, there is already a restricted area in the universe that is ready to move. I am afraid that it will take the lead in attacking and feed on the world's creatures to replenish its own origin. Quote. Can anyone really do such a thing? Qi Dao felt incredible after hearing this. Don't underestimate the determination of those old monsters at the holy life level to survive and maintain their cultivation. Those old guys who have lived for millions of years are most afraid of death and will take action at all costs. Ancestor Shi Tuo said seriously. Qi Dao was quite frightened. From these words, he could already foresee some terrifying turmoil in the future. In other words, the entire universe will not be spared. The great Tao is too ruthless. I understand. Thank you, Ancestor Shi Tuo, for reminding me. Qi Dao said. He even felt that his current cultivation level was not enough to be safe and sound in the future. The universe is too vast, with countless creatures, and there are countless terrifying beings hiding in the dark and peering at everything. Gone. Shi Tuo said no more, and took his two granddaughters and tore open the space and left, bringing with them a rolling pressure that terrified the four regions. And on that day, shortly after Shi Tuo left, two more ancestor-level figures from outside the world came together, causing a sensation in the sea of stars. Oh my God, am I right? Two ancestors from other worlds are here together. What is it today? Is this targeting Qingshu Mountain, or does it mean that beings at that level have to come to Qingshu Mountain to seek Taoism and slow down the decline of their realm? Why do I feel like I'm about to get into chaos? Quote. On this day, the creatures in the Central Territory were in panic. At the same time, Qi Dao felt something, raised his gaze, and looked directly at the two ancestors outside the world. Fortunately, there was no hostility between these two people. They had also witnessed Qi Dao survive the past and present and future tribulations before, and knew that he had a way to stop the erosion of heaven and earth, so they came here. Of course, they don't have much goodwill either. You two, what are you doing here? Qi Dao spoke calmly, not afraid of anyone. I am a poor Taoist. I just want to ask you one thing. Is there any way for fellow Taoist to maintain his cultivation? If you can teach the Dharma, everything will be easy to talk about. This is a sign of sincerity. A white-haired Taoist wearing a Taoist robe and holding a whisk in his hand spoke and handed out half a holy medicine. When the saint-level rules shed a soft light on the central realm, countless creatures were shocked. A creature of that level can use holy medicine. It's so terrifying. Is this an exchange between truly supreme beings? The value can easily start from holy medicine. Moreover, it seems that the ancestors of those dojos outside the world need to rely on the Taoism of the Supreme Being in Qingshu Mountain. Who is this Supreme Being in Qingshu Mountain? Even the ancestors of the world have come here one after another. That's the ancestor Kong Zan. There are ancient books recording that he killed a terrifying opponent of the same realm when he first became a Taoist. His reputation is so great. Quote. All the creatures in the central realm were alarmed and shocked to the extreme. At this time, the ancestor of the world around Kong Zan also moved. He was a very burly man. Stars were sucked in with every breath, which could overturn the sea of stars. I am extreme profundities, and I am also here to maintain my cultivation. This is my sincerity. After saying that, extreme profundities took out a stone as big as a fist, and it was actually wrapped with a trace of chaos energy. This is the innate chaos spirit stone. It can evolve all things, and it can also destroy everything. Extreme profundities is also very generous. When some of the older generation of monks learned about it, they were even more shocked. Even Kong Zan was secretly surprised. This was an innate chaos spirit stone. The ancestor of extreme profundities became enlightened millions of years ago. It is said that he controlled thousands of star domains and was extremely powerful. He once entered the legendary Forbidden Land and escaped. That innate chaos spirit stone is a thing of opening heaven. There are only a few in the world, but it was given away directly. The older generation of cultivators were stirred up in their hearts. They were so excited that they were speechless. Kong Zan was even more surprised to see the innate chaos spirit stone in the hands of extreme profundities. As a person of the same level, he knows even more clearly that this innate chaos spirit stone was really brought out from a terrible forbidden place by extreme profundities. You two fellow Taoists are too polite. This thing is too valuable. You should take it back. Besides, I don't have what you two want here. The age of Dharma ending is irreversible, and there is no way to maintain cultivation. Qi Dao responded calmly. Naturally, these two people did not know about the new system. But we clearly saw that fellow Taoist went against the will of heaven and survived the past, present and future tribulations, and was safe and sound. Is it possible that fellow Taoist looks down on the two of us? Extreme profundities couldn't help it anymore and was a little impatient. They came across the vast sea of stars and didn't want to return empty-handed. Not to mention that the turmoil is about to break out now, and they are very anxious to maintain their cultivation in order to face the terrible future. Is not what it means. The old road is already a dead end and completely impassable. I can't maintain your cultivation for you two. I can at most slow down the decline of your realm. How about that? Qi Dao explained again that he no longer wanted to pay attention to these ancestors who came to visit. Delay the decline in realm. That's okay. I also ask fellow Taoist to teach the Dharma. These things are all given to fellow Taoist. Extreme profundities and Kong Zan looked at each other, both a little excited. Now in this Dharma ending era, if they could slow down the decline of their realm, they could already be regarded as being ahead of others, so they were very happy and directly gave away the treasure in their hands. Qi Dao did not refuse this time, he accepted it decisively, and then taught them the Taoism. Thank you fellow Taoist. If you need help in the future, just ask. Extreme profundities handed it over and thanked him. After practicing, he found that his cultivation had actually slowed down the decline. He was pleasantly surprised. Polite. Qi Dao took away their treasures and watched them leave. After these two ancestors traveled hundreds of millions of miles across the sea of stars, Kong Zan's eyes gradually became unpredictable. That person is clearly hiding something. He is hiding something and doesn't want us to maintain our cultivation. Kong Zan snorted coldly, and a wisp of murderous intent turned the passing stars into fly ash. That's true. If he can survive the past, present and future tribulations, he must have a way to maintain his cultivation and defy the heavens. But it's not like you haven't seen it before. His cultivation level is too terrifying. He has pushed past, present and future catastrophes all the way. His strength is probably comparable to half immortality. Extreme profundities said, with fear. Otherwise, how could their two ancestors go there together without thinking of taking action directly? Half immortality. It's impossible. As far as I know, there are no more than 10 people in the universe who have achieved half-step immortality, and they are all the ones everyone knows. They are all old monsters from ancient times. He is so young, how is that possible? Kong Zan shook his head and said nothing more. On Qingshu Mountain, Qi Dao closed the mountain again to prevent the ancestors from outside the world from coming to disturb him again. More people means more chaos. Unrest will break out in the future, and I still need to improve my strength now. Qi Dao thought in his mind. On the same day, he once again called the elders and disciples to wash their marrow and cut their tendons with heaven's blood as jade and holy medicine to improve their root bone. After teaching Taoism for another 2 days, Qi Dao began to retreat directly. The realm seems to have reached a bottleneck, and I don't even have any thoughts. But it's not like you can't give it a try. Qi Dao thought and started the simulation directly. Before that, he had already set up a large formation that could block the terrifying blow from opponents at the holy life level. At the same time, he himself would wake up, so he didn't have to worry about any opponents coming. Now, what he has to do is to improve again, to transcend, to open up a new system realm that is comparable to immortality. System, start simulation. Qi Dao calls out the system. Ding! The first simulation of the 10th round begins. In the first year, you sealed off the entire Qingshu Mountain and began to try to open up a higher level of realm. Quote. In the 10th year, you have been sitting cross-legged for 10 years, and your body has already been covered with dust and fallen leaves, turning into a stone. Quote. In the first 100 years, you have walked the road of flesh and blood again, but you still haven't found anything. This road seems to have been blocked. Quote. In the 5th 100 years, you have burned all your energy and blood to capture the only glimmer of inspiration. Quote. In the first 1,000 years, your Tao fire burned hundreds of millions of stars, and your flesh and blood were burned to the point of exhaustion, but you still couldn't find any way out. Quote. In the second 1,000 years, your life palace exploded, and the infinite source of Taoism evolved into all laws of heaven and earth. It seems that the opening heaven opened up the earth, and the areas involved in the life palace withstood the erosion of the age of ending Dharma. Quote. In the 5th 1,000 years, your flesh and blood turned into the earth, and the life palace and spirit platform evolved into the great Tao, becoming an independent small world in the great world. Quote. In the first 10,000 years, you burned away the origin of your own Taoism, but still found nothing. You have opened up the Tao of the physical body to the extreme. Quote. In the 10,500th year, you took the initiative to end this simulation. This simulation is over and the system will automatically restart. Summary of this simulation. Your flesh and blood great Tao has reached the extreme state and seems unable to reach the next level. Evaluation. Flesh and blood are limited, but the great Tao is boundless. Quote. Qi Dao opened his eyes. This simulation took him 3 or 4 days, but he got nothing. In fact, even the systematic evaluation has no reference. Qi Dao feels that he has really reached the ceiling and cannot go to the next level. Wrong. The old system still has the imperishable realm world, and there is even a higher level above the imperishable realm world. This means that it is not that there is no way out, but I just didn't think of it. This requires more inspiration and experience. Qi Dao thought hard and simulated with this idea. 10 simulations, 100 simulations, 300 simulations, 500 simulations. More than a month has passed in the blink of an eye, but Qi Dao has an indescribable feeling of vicissitudes of life, as if hundreds of thousands of years have passed. After hundreds of simulations, I finally captured a glimmer of inspiration. The flesh and blood has indeed reached its limit and cannot rise any further. But Taoism is infinite and can still be improved. I should start from the root of Taoism and seek transcendence. Qi Dao Mingwu. Then, like an enlightenment, he thought of the evaluation made by the system during the first simulation. Isn't this the truth? The system's evaluation is really just right every time. If I had thought of it earlier, where should I go now? Qi Dao smiled to himself, then put aside all distracting thoughts and entered the simulation again. In the first year, you will no longer open up the path of flesh and blood, but start from the realm of casting path and the realm of life palace. Quote. In the 10th year, your life palace will be at its peak, and the origin of Taoism will become stronger and stronger, giving birth to more original laws. Quote. In the 50th year, your life palace began to try to transform and enter a higher level, but this directly caused one of the life palaces to explode and also caused you to be seriously injured. Quote. In the 200th year, you recovered and repaired the palace of life. You suddenly realized that the unity of Tao and Dharma might be the means to achieve transcendence. Quote. In the 500 years, you began to try to unify Tao and Dharma, and the 5 major life palaces were forcibly unified and refined by you with powerful means. Quote. In the first 1,000 years, you are still trying to recast the 5 palaces of life and want to merge them into one. Quote. In the third 1,000 years, don't you dare to relax even a little bit. Quote. In the 5th 1,000 years, your 5 life palaces finally show signs of merging, and provide you with the power of transformation. Quote. In the 10,000th year, your 5 fate palaces finally merged into one, and the gods in the 5 fate palaces also merged into one. Quote. In the 12th 1,000th year, this was the year when you had the strongest sense of transformation. You were pleasantly surprised, but as the power of anomaly came, your state was interrupted, causing the fusion of your 5 life palaces to fail. Quote. In the 12,001st year, you died while being cursed. This simulation is over and the system will automatically restart. Summary of this simulation. You have found the general idea and are no longer a headless fly, but your luck seems to be bad. Evaluation. The unity of Tao and Dharma, the way of transcendence. Qi Dao woke up, and now another 4 or 5 days have passed in reality. Then what's going on with Anomaly's power? Why does it appear at the most critical moment to interrupt me? Where did that come from? Are you not afraid of the oppression of the Dharma ending age? Qi Dao was full of doubts. That was 10,000 years after the simulated Dharma ending age. It stands to reason that except for his new system, there should be no power left in the world. However, the power of anomaly appeared suddenly. Again, maybe the method I used is not right. If I be careful this time, I won't run into it again. Qi Dao could only think this way and went into retreat. But no matter which simulation it is next, Qi Dao will always be interrupted by the power of the anomaly when the 5 major life palaces are about to merge into one. At first, Qi Dao thought that the power of anomaly would appear in 10,000 years. Until he waited for 10,000 years and found that the power of anomaly did not appear, he finally realized that this was not the case. Where does the anomaly power come from? Invisible, beyond the great Tao, unbound by rules, what's going on? Qi Dao frowned and felt strange. Next, in 1,000 consecutive simulations, he will encounter the power of the anomaly at the juncture of the fusion of the 5 life palaces. Qi Dao has tried to dispel the power of the anomaly, but found that the power is very mysterious. If a practitioner of the old way comes across it, it will be directly corroded and then fall. Even Qi Dao's flesh and blood great Tao cannot block it for a long time and will be eroded. This inexplicable anomaly power is even more difficult to deal with than the great Tao, because we don't know where the anomaly power comes from or what its source is. Qi Dao did not believe in evil and tried more than 5,000 simulations in succession, with the same result. The most serious one was that a living creature appeared in the anomaly's power, staring at him like a prey, but fighting him to the death. What the hell is that? Qi Dao woke up, feeling inexplicably frightened and confused. Now in reality, a month has passed, but he has found nothing, and it is inevitable that he is a little desperate. In the end, Qi Dao found Elder Qingshu and moved all the ancient books, trying to find the origin of the anomaly power. On Qingshu Mountain, Qi Dao found all the ancient books that could be collected, and brought in Elder Qingshu to find a solution together. After hearing Qi Dao's description, Elder Qingshu frowned and his expression became more solemn. To be honest, at your level, you can't even see what that kind of anomaly power is. It's even less possible for me, an old man, to know. Of course, many ancient books record some ancient secrets and strange things. You are creating a new system. You can look specifically at what the ancients who created the new system encountered. Elder Qingshu said this. Of course Qi Dao didn't expect Elder Qingshu to bring him much surprise, but this idea is enough. It turns out that's the case. What the elder said is absolutely true. Let's look for it now. Qi Dao showed powerful spiritual power and was able to read tens of thousands of ancient books at the same time. Even so, it took Qi Dao a day to finish reading the mountains of ancient books, and then he began to sift through his memory for suitable events. Qi Dao had little hope, but unexpectedly he actually saw a short line of records in an extremely ancient book. An ancient man who became enlightened 6 epochs ago tried to open up a new body refining system. At the last moment, he was approached by a black mist and disappeared without a trace. Qi Dao understood the meaning and then read it slowly. He was certain that the black mist was something he had seen before, and it couldn't be fake. Apart from this, there are no similar records in other ancient books. It is just such a useful piece of information for several epochs. According to what you said, it seems that anomalies' power will only appear to interfere when creating a new body refining system. No, it should swallow the founder, or take him to other places. Elder Qingshu said to Qi Dao after hearing this. Qi Dao nodded. He had simulated it thousands of times and would always come to the door at the most critical moment. There is an inexplicable existence in the anomaly power. It's so anomaly that even the age of Dharma can reappear. What on earth is that, ignoring the great Tao of heaven and earth? Qi Dao frowned, which ruled out the cause of his own problem. In the end, he discussed with Elder Qingshu for a long time, but still had no clue. Thank you, Elder, for being willing to accompany me here to find a solution. Next, I will study and understand on my own. Qi Dao said to the Elder, preparing to enter the simulated world and explore it again. Okay, just be careful and don't take the initiative to enter it. If it doesn't work, let's stop for a while. Elder Qingshu said kindly. Hearing this, Qi Dao smiled and said nothing. In the past month, he has felt that the suppression of the Dharma ending era is gradually increasing, and it is 10 times more powerful than it was at the beginning. Somehow, Qi Dao has noticed the bloody smell coming from the other side of the universe. I am afraid that it will not be long before there will be complete chaos. After Elder Qingshu left, Qi Dao entered the simulated world again to try. If it still doesn't work this time, I will open up the origin of Taoism in the 5 Fate Palaces to a more powerful state and then integrate them. Or maybe the Taoism and Dharma of the 5 major life palaces have reached the extreme state. I don't believe that the Taoism and Dharma can't be unified. Qi Dao's goal is very clear and determined. In the first year, you start to integrate the 5 life palaces again. Quote. In the second 1,000 years, your 5 life palaces are beginning to show signs of fusion. Quote. In the 5th 1,000 years, your 5 major life palaces have initially merged. Quote. In the first 10,000 years, as expected, the power of anomaly appeared again, and a white bone palm stretched out from it and slapped your life palace, causing you to be furious. You would rather not fuse the life palace than the creatures in the power of anomaly. Find it out. Quote. In the 15th 1,000 years, you and the creatures in anomaly's power are still fighting. The battle has turned the star sea upside down, and all the stars within billions of miles have been destroyed. There is still no difference between them. Quote. In the 30,000th year, the anomaly's power began to fade. Only then did you retreat with peace of mind and try to integrate the 5 life palaces again. Quote. In the 40,000th year, the moment your life palace is about to be successfully integrated, the power of anomaly appears again, and this time it is on a larger scale. You feel like you are being attacked by hundreds of opponents of the same level. Pawn. This simulation is over and the system will automatically restart. Summary of this simulation. Even if the anomaly power is defeated, it will still reappear. Rating. Anomaly. Quote. Qi Dao woke up, filled with holy power, overwhelming countless stars in the sky to vent the anger in his heart. In one day, countless creatures in the 4 realms trembled, as if they were experiencing the end of the world. It wasn't until Qi Dao calmed down that this terrible pressure disappeared. Even if it subsides, it will appear again. Is there no end to it? What on earth is this thing? It wants to prevent my new system from transcending. Not even the great Tao death tribulation can do it. Qi Dao clenched his fists, confused. The anomaly's power is not suppressed by rules, cannot be exterminated, and cannot be traced back. It simply goes beyond the 5 elements and cannot enter reincarnation. Qi Dao tried every conceivable method to no avail and found it difficult to find a solution. Is there really no solution? It was the first time Qi Dao felt this way. Even when he opened up a realm before, he had never experienced this situation before. But this time, it seems that he has really hit the ceiling and is blocked by the power of anomaly. He is very unwilling to do so. Forget it, then I will make the source of Taoism in my body stronger. Since the realm cannot be improved and the ceiling is reached, then I will develop a new system of exercises under the ceiling and find another way to transcendence. The Tao is boundless, so I will open up all the Dharma and push it to the limit. Qi Dao thought and entered the simulation world again. In the first year, you start to continuously develop new methods and no longer seek breakthroughs in realm. Quote. In the 10th year, your 5 destiny palaces will further manifest themselves, like the 5 immortal palaces, constantly giving birth to new realms of Taoism. Quote. In the 50th year, the Taoism in the 5 major life palaces has undergone a transformation, and new Taoism fields are endless. Quote. In the 200th year, you feel something in your heart, understand the way of time and space, and write a complete time scripture. Quote. On the 500th year, the 5 major life palaces chimed in unison, and a trace of the transcendent aura of immortal transformation was born in the depths. Quote. In the first 1,000 years, you casually wrote down the second complete scripture called Tai Kang Jing. Quote. In the 5th 1,000 years, life is still endless in your life palace, and Taoism is always opening up. This year, you felt something in your heart, and casually wrote the third complete scripture, called the Sutra of Chaos. Quote. In the 8th 1,000 years, a stronger aura of detachment emerged from the depths of the 5 major destiny palaces. The 5 major destiny palaces have completely transformed into the immortal palace. This year you wrote the 4th complete scripture, called the Sutra of Reincarnation. Quote. In the first 10,000 years, you have developed the origin of Taoism in the 5 major life palaces to the current limit. Immortal-like power continues to pour out of the 5 major life palaces and begins to feed back your flesh and blood. This year, you wrote the last complete scripture, which you named Immortal Transformation. Quote. Both the physical body and Taoism have reached their limits, and there is no room for progress. If compared, my current strength should be equivalent to the half-step immortality of the old system. When Qi Dao opened his eyes, it was already 5 days later. Looking behind him, he clearly witnessed every inch of his flesh and blood, and the 5 palaces of life were transformed into fairy palaces, filled with immortal power. This is all the limits of the current new system, the real ceiling. Qi Dao felt something in his heart. He who reached the ceiling was more powerful than before. In comparison, he could easily suppress his previous self. Not to mention, he created the 5 great scriptures and is the strongest manifestation of Taoism in the 5 life palaces. It's a pity that we are always close to being able to open up a realm comparable to immortality. I wonder what will happen if I try to fuse the 5 life palaces now. Qi Dao was calculating in his mind, but soon he suddenly raised his head and noticed something. At the same time, the entire elders and disciples on Qingshu Mountain felt something, and they all raised their heads to look up at the sky. Boom! The dull thunder came from the depths of the universe, ringing in the ears of every cultivator. On this day, both powerful creatures at the holy life level and ordinary creatures felt unprecedented oppression. Oh my God, why do I feel like my Tao foundation has been shaken? I feel like my level is about to fall. I feel the same way, but aren't we in an environment that can isolate the great Tao and suppress it? Why do I still feel like this? Moreover, the treasures of heaven and earth are beginning to dry up, and holy medicine is gradually dimming. How could the oppression in this Dharma-ending era suddenly become so terrifying? Quote. On the Emotion Mountain, all the elders and disciples felt this terrible aura, which actually made the new system of Taoism in their bodies crumbling. Fortunately, Qi Dao appeared, and the 5 life palaces glowed, stabilizing the entire Qingshu Mountain in time. But it is inevitable that the environment of Qingshu Mountain has shrunk. It could have been covered outside the mountain gate, but now it can only protect the entire core area from the suppression of heaven and earth. Soon, the uneasy feeling in the hearts of the elders and disciples disappeared. Their cultivation was stable, and there was no need to worry about being suppressed by the world in the end of Dharma age. The sky has changed. Chi Dao stood up and stood on the top of the mountain looking at the sky. Now, his new system of Taoism is stable, and both his body and Taoism have reached the extreme state. Even if the world undergoes drastic changes and the repressive power of the age of ending law suddenly increases 100 times, it will be difficult to shake his foundation. This is the power of the new system. Chi Dao doesn't worry about his cultivation level falling at all. As long as he is around, the environment of Qingshu Mountain will not be eroded, cultivation can still be performed, and heavenly materials and earthly treasures can still grow. But it's different outside Qingshu Mountain. With the terrifying suppression of the Great Tao, all living creatures in the world feel like they have been slashed by an invisible knife. In just the blink of an eye, countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures were turned into ordinary medicinal materials, completely losing all spirituality. Everywhere he looked, there was no aura, but only ordinary grass. And all the creatures in the four realms were wailing everywhere. Not only their cultivation levels had dropped, but their longevity had also been cut off. Oh my God, why is the Great Tao so ruthless? Our realm has been declining, but now we are going to completely exterminate. My realm is passing quickly, and most of my lifespan has been lost. I can't live more than 100 years. In the age of ending law, the most terrifying suppression has begun. I'm not willing to give in. Quote. On this day, countless monks looked up to the sky with grief and anger, full of unwillingness. Even those figures at the leader level were no exception. They fell to a lower level in just half a day. If this continues, 2 days will be enough for them to lose all their realms, and Shouyuan will be cut off to the point where they are no different from ordinary people. No, I once sought Taoism in Qingshu Mountain to slow down the decline of realm, but it was useless. The general trend of heaven and earth is irreversible. I really don't want to accept it. Why does the terror and suppression in the Dharma ending age come so quickly, without giving me any way to survive? I really don't want to become immortal, I still want to live forever. There are figures at the level of cult leaders wailing, trying their best to resist the oppression of heaven and earth. However, all this is in vain and useless. The suppression of the Dharma ending age has directly reached 100-fold since this day, and is even deepening. This is the era of complete transformation to the absolute law, and not a single practitioner will be left behind. The cruelty and ruthlessness of the Dharma ending age will be vividly displayed from this day on, and all cultivators will return to heaven. At the same time, the turmoil started that day. Due to the terrifying suppression of the great Tao of heaven and earth, those great sects had to start extracting the origins of others to replenish their own lost origins. But what is different this time is that the repressive power is even more terrifying, which naturally leads to the need to extract more sources to supplement it. If it took one person to replenish the source before, then 10 people, or even hundreds of people, are needed this time. In addition, the speed of extraction must be comparable to the speed of heaven and earth suppression. This is a truly cruel era, a purgatory on earth. Within the 4 domains, the big shots at the leader level could no longer sit still, and they all took action. Even the elders and disciples of the sect were not spared and they were devoured. Ah, why is the world so cruel? I don't want to die. Ha ha ha, kill all of you, and my origin will be replenished. You should feel honored to use your blood to strengthen my origin. This is protecting the last lifeblood of the cultivator. Quote. Blood and chaos are taking place everywhere, all just to preserve the origin and survive without being eaten by others. If we were fighting against heaven before, now we are fighting against all kinds of cultivators. The law of the jungle seems extremely normal now. This is the general trend, and it cannot be violated in the era of law ending. Only the new system will last forever. Chi Dao stood on the top of Qingshu Mountain, his eyes dim, watching the turmoil unfolding in the 4 domains, but did not intervene. This is the general trend, he can't stop it, and he doesn't want to stop it. Before the arrival of a new era, the baptism of blood and chaos is the only way to go. Are all those people out there crazy? They don't even spare ordinary people. Standing on the mountain, Yu Qing clearly saw cultivators slaughtering ordinary people and absorbing the pitifully thin essence from ordinary people's bodies. To reach the point of replenishing the lost origin, it is often necessary to kill thousands of ordinary people. This is so desperate. Brother, let's help them. I know you can do it. Yu Qing couldn't help but shed tears with kind thoughts in her heart. However, Qi Dao remained unmoved and his heart was as solid as a rock. You have to know that this is the general trend of the world and I can't change it. What if I can save the people in one domain? There are also creatures in the other 3 domains. I am not a savior. I can only keep everyone I care about independent from the blood chaos and not be disturbed. Chapter 51. But, senior brother, even those mortals were killed. It's too cruel. What is suppressed in the age of Dharma ending is cultivators. What does that have to do with those mortals? Why do they have to endure the pain of the age of Dharma ending? Brother, Yu Qing said again, with tears in her eyes. Even Elder Qingshu and others can't stand it anymore, because there are mortals outside the mountain being slaughtered and reduced to blood food for cultivators to replenish their origin. How can the age of Dharma end be so cruel? In the end, it is the ordinary creatures that are harmed. I'm afraid that before the end of the Dharma ending age, all ordinary creatures will be killed first. Qingshu couldn't bear to say. Who does not grow from mortals? Everyone will be moved when they see this scene. Finally, Qi Dao was no longer indifferent. In the prosperous age, mortals are regarded as ants, and in the end of time, mortals are regarded as blood-eaters. There is indeed harmony in the world. Billions of ordinary creatures should not bear the consequences of the Dharma ending age. It is the great Tao of heaven and earth who are at fault. How can we let mortals bear the final price? I will bear the consequences of this. The Qi Dao set off, every word was spoken, and the words were followed. Beside him, Yu Qing, Elder Qingshu and others were all excited. The Qi Dao they knew was not yet ruthless for the sake of cultivation. Boom! Qi Dao took one step and enveloped the entire 4 realms with the body of law manifestation. A huge continent is only 3 inches in Qi Dao's palm. This is the true supreme existence. At this moment, all the creatures in the 4 realms were suffocated, and they were all lying on the ground, trembling from their souls. Between heaven and earth, my Lord is supreme. In my name, Qi Dao, protect the mortals and ordinary creatures in the 4 realms. Those who harm mortals and ordinary creatures will suffer the great Tao's cause and effect, suffer the great Tao's backlash, and will never be reincarnated. This oath serves as a warning to heaven and earth. My body will never be destroyed, and my oath will never die. I will bear all the consequences. Qi Dao used great divine ability, and everything he said and did was governed by the law. The moment he said these words, the depths of the sky shook, and countless calamities from the great Tao of heaven and earth struck Qi Dao's body, but he withstood them all. After the catastrophe of the oath of cause and effect was over, Qi Dao converged on divine ability and returned to Qingshu Mountain. From this moment on, cultivators in the 4 realms felt the gaze of the power of the great Tao. Once it hurts mortals and ordinary creatures, they will die suddenly on the spot. Supreme Being, please accept our worship. Wu, the sky's eyes are open. This is true love for the common people. We should erect a statue of a god and be respected by all generations. Quote. Countless mortals in the 4 realms shed tears, looking at the corpses of their loved ones around them with sadness. Now they finally no longer have to suffer the pain of purgatory. That same day, Qi Dao felt an unknown force exerting itself on him. If it can be described, it is the power of sentient beings' thoughts. How can it still be like this? It was the first time Qi Dao felt such mysterious power, which was different from spiritual power and came from all living beings. Only those who win the hearts of hundreds of millions of sentient beings can be blessed by the power of their thoughts. This is the true destiny. Brother, you succeeded. No matter to mortals, your merits will be recited in the world. Statues of gods and stone tablets will stand side by side, and your name will remain for eternity. This is a great merit. Both Yu Qing and Elder Qingshu expressed heartfelt emotions, with tears in their eyes. Qi Dao shook his head, not proud of it. Cultivation begins with mortals, and all the benefits are taken by the practitioners. In the end, mortals and ordinary creatures have to bear the consequences. This shouldn't be the case. What's more, my master and master have taught me to treat people with kindness since I was a child. There is no way I can go against my true heart. Qi Dao said. Of course, practitioners are not among the common people. From the moment you set foot on the path of cultivation, you have already embarked on a path of no return and are not protected by heaven and earth. To put it simply, returning Tao to heaven is the true natural way of heaven and earth. It is not advisable to go against heaven. What's more, he can only protect the mortals in the four realms. You know, the universe is vast, there are countless living planets, and there are too many ordinary creatures. He can only do this one step. Okay, you can still remember, it's a great pleasure to be a teacher. Yu Xuanzi nodded. After all, he brought up Qi Dao and he knew Qi Dao quite well. At the same time, the moment the Qi Dao oath of cause and effect took effect, the cultivators in the four realms became more and more desperate. There are people who do not believe in evil but still want to kill mortals to obtain the origin. However, they are robbed the moment they do it. Cracks appear all over their bodies, and then they explode and die. I'm not willing to give in. Who wants to fall into the world? You are so high above us, but you look down on the common people and are not afraid of anything, yet you come to interfere with us. This is completely cutting off the livelihood of monks like us, so what about the supreme existence? I have a premonition that spiritual practice will really become a thing of the past, and mythical will become a legend. It's so desperate. Quote. A large number of cultivators are unwilling to give in, and most of them are low-level cultivators. Unable to maintain his origin by killing monks of the same level, he can only oppress innocent creatures. In this regard, the karma oath takes direct effect, helping these people to transcend in advance and avoid suffering in the age of ending dharma. As for the resentful words of those people, Qi Dao didn't take it to heart. The moment he took action, he was ready to bear the infamy. The terrible world of blood and chaos has truly begun. Not only the four realms, there are countless life planets in the universe. I'm afraid the starry sky has already been killed. I don't know when I will get involved. Qi Dao stood on the top of the mountain, feeling like he was being shaken by the wind and rain. When he let go of his spiritual thoughts on the spiritual platform, he could instantly sense the turmoil happening everywhere in the universe. Practitioners are not willing to be reduced to ordinary people, and do not want to accept their own ending, so they all fight in the end. Qi Dao knows very well that the days of peace are numbered, and no one can be spared in troubled times. At the same time, at the other end of the starry sky, the battle at the holy life level really broke out. Other battles at the supreme level easily caused the star sea to explode, drowning countless creatures. It's that madman from ancient times. He's not dead yet, and he appears again. He seems to be half immortal. Who can stop him? The ancestor-level creatures with the holy life level were all frightened. Look at that figure that reached the sky and the earth. Boom! An ancestor was targeted, and the ancient lunatic swung the iron rod in his hand and blasted it apart. In less than 10 rounds, an ancestor with a holy life level was gone and was hunted like a pig. Later, due to the death of the holy life, the whole universe felt sad, and blood and tears were shed by the Great Tao. It was the Great Tao who was seeing him off. The real turmoil begins with the fall of holy life. Who can stop me from striking? The ancient madman roared. Law manifestation stirred up the vast sea of stars, and shook the Great Tao. Even those ancestors from outside the world have to avoid the edge for a while. What's even more terrifying is that the ancient madman swallowed a piece of Star Domain's life in his mouth to replenish his original consumption. The universe is in complete chaos. Qi Dao sat cross-legged on Qingshu Mountain, and his powerful perception allowed him to predict many things in advance. Moreover, there was an aura directed at him, like some kind of great cause and effect. At the last pinnacle of the old path, all the monsters in this life will be born. Either the old way will be cut off from now on, and the world will be completely extinct, or the new system will replace the old way and give the entire world new life, allowing the power of the Great Tao to come again. Qi Dao felt something in his heart and deduced silently in his heart. He knew that he could not settle down here. The chaotic world of the end of the law is extremely cruel, and all races in the universe are fighting for their lives. There are supreme beings who feed on the star domain to make up for the lack of their own origins. If no one can stand up, the entire universe will be eaten up. Evolution. Qi Dao further deduced the secrets of heaven and had a shocking glimpse of the bloody and drifting universe in the future. Even the anomaly power he saw at the fusion point during his previous simulation appeared again. When Qi Dao wanted to see more clearly, he was repelled by the power of time, and no one could clearly deduce the terrible truth of the future. The entire universe will be involved, and Qingshu Mountain cannot remain unharmed. Qi Dao restrained his divine ability and was thoughtful. Then, he lowered his gaze and looked at the elders and disciples who were still practicing the new system of Taoism. Among them, Elder Qingshu has made rapid progress and has almost reached the realm of casting, followed closely by the other 5 supreme elders. But this progress is still too slow. Qi Dao and even the elders and others are still unable to protect themselves, but they can barely resist the erosion of heaven and earth. Boom! Just when Qi Dao was in a trance, a terrifying fluctuation at the level of a holy life suddenly erupted in the universe. A bloody spear, exceeding the speed of light, penetrated the boundless sea of stars, destroying countless stars along the way. This spear penetrated the stars and pierced Qingshu Mountain. The enemy is really coming. What is that? All the creatures within the 4 domains felt the terrible pressure. Just the murderous aura emitted by the bloody spear already made them feel like they would die suddenly. In their sight, the entire sky was enveloped in blood-red light, and the entire continent showed signs of collapse. This is the real apocalypse. If there were no supreme being in the realm of holy life here, the bloody spear would be enough to penetrate a continent and turn it into nothing. An enemy is really coming. Qi Dao moved immediately and raised his eyes to look into the universe. The murderous intention on this spear is too terrifying and sharp, and it is completely heading towards the extermination Qingshu Mountain. Qi Dao immediately became angry and used the Taoism of the new system to attack him with one palm. Kang! The collision of flesh and blood and the bloody spear caused sparks to fly, and the burst of waves alone was enough to destroy large swaths of stars. However, Qi Dao controlled the power very well, and at the same time used his own Taoist power to suppress the overflowing power and stabilize this sea of stars. Otherwise, the star sea will be shattered and the 4 realms will sink. This is definitely not a joke. You want to die. Qi Dao grabbed the bloody spear with his bare hands, leaving not even a trace in his palm. After the words fell, Qi Dao forcibly suppressed the weapon spirit in the saint weapon, threw it back, and stabbed the owner of the bloody spear. That was an ancestor, with a tall figure, coming from the distant sea of stars. He took action directly and provoked Qi Dao with saint weapon. Aha! The blood-colored spear stabbed back uncontrollably, with its sharp edge clearly visible. Even if the weapon spirit inside tried desperately to change its trajectory, it couldn't. Along the way, countless stars fell and the sea of stars was evaporated. This blow was even more terrifying than the owner of the bloody spear. What a trick! The owner of the bloody spear looked solemn and had to use his divine ability to catch his saint weapon. Boom! The starry sky exploded directly, and the owner of the bloody spear looked at his palm in shock, and it was split open by the shock of his saint weapon. Master, I can't stop him, that man is too scary. The bloody spear said bitterly, telling him that this was not its original intention. When Qi Dao held it in his hands, it felt like it would be destroyed at any time. I know. The owner of the blood-colored spear had no expression on his face. He took one step forward and reached the starry sky billions of miles away. He approached the 4 realms with powerful holy power and began to exert pressure. At this moment, both Qingshu Mountain and the 4 regions were in panic. You know, I saw you transcending tribulation. The tribulations of the past, present and future, the tribulations that only the founders of the old system were said to have successfully overcome, there is an extra person like you in this life. I really want to know, have you also opened up a new body refining system? The owner of the bloody spear asked coldly. On the way, he took a look at Qingshu Mountain and found that the core area of Qingshu Mountain was not eroded by the Dharma ending age and was safe and sound. The most important thing is that he met the elders and disciples practicing in Qingshu Mountain. His heart was shaken. In this Dharma ending age, there are still people who can practice cultivation. What does this mean? So, you want to kill me? Qi Dao's expressionless response, daring to kill Qingshushan, was challenging his bottom line. As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Dao took action directly. The 5 major life palaces were shaken, and now they exploded with the immortal power of rules. Duo. The 5 major life palaces screamed in unison, and the origins of Taoism all clapped their hands to capture and kill the supreme existence in front of them. A great pressure came directly, causing the owner of the bloody spear to change his color. Then he turned around and ran away. Can you leave? Qi Dao took one step out of the sea of stars and fought out with his bare hands. He shocked the owner of the bloody spear and vomited blood across a star domain. At this time, the owner of the bloody spear suddenly turned around and shouted towards the sea of stars behind him. King Ming, blood ancestor. If you haven't taken action yet, when will you wait? This is turning the tiger away from the mountain. Qi Dao reacted instantly. No wonder this person dared to come alone to provoke him. It turned out that there were two helpers secretly. Moreover, their goal is very clear, just to go to Qingshu Mountain. After all, Qingshu Mountain is the only place in the world that can stop the erosion of the Great Tao. If you can get it, you can maintain your realm and survive in this Dharma-ending era. It's impossible for any existence at the level of holy life to be unmoved after seeing it. Boom! Two big hands tore through the starry sky and appeared, extremely quickly, grabbing Qingshu Mountain together. At this moment, all the elders and disciples on Qingshu Mountain were enveloped by terrifying pressure, and then were crushed to the ground. Brother! On Qingshu Mountain, Yu Qing shouted, looking at the familiar photography in the starry sky. The entire Qingshu Mountain had been uprooted and was about to be captured. Seeing this scene, Qi Dao's eyes were splitting and he completely exploded. If you dare to take Qing Zushan's idea, I will send you to death. All the Dharma and Dharma of the Ming Palace appear, slay all enemies in the world. Time Book, Taikang Jing, Chaos Sutra, Samsara Sutra, Immortal Transformation Sutra. Each of the gods in the 5 palaces of life represents a supreme scripture. If immortals walk in the world, the power of rules is too powerful. Boom! The 5 major life palaces are like 5 fairy palaces, and divine light bursts out from Qi Dao's body. At this moment, the Taoist origin of the new system boiled, and its shocking power made the 3 ancestors tremble with fear and take a breath of cold air. What kind of monster is this? Why do I feel that his strength is not weaker than half-step immortal? Seeing Qi Dao's body glowing with the 5 life palaces hanging down with immortal rules, King Ming couldn't help but said. And in the blink of an eye, the 5 gods in Qi Dao's Ming Palace had already killed themselves in front of them, and each one of them looked like Qi Dao. Time stands still. One of the dark Qi Dao's methods shows a powerful time warp, which can now freeze time and space. Buzz! The Taoism was boiling, and the big hand that was grabbing at Qingshu Mountain was immediately frozen, making it difficult to move forward even half a step. Hurry up! This kid is a bit scary. If you keep it any longer, something will happen. Feeling the horror of the time continuum, the blood ancestor became anxious. This is a young man with a pale face, but with the title of blood ancestor, he is naturally very powerful. However, he more clearly sensed the terrifying fluctuations caused by Qi Dao's rage, which made him, an ancestor of the holy life level, feel frightened. His Taoism is too powerful. You think I don't want to hurry up? King Ming roared. The hand he stretched out first was immobilized, and no matter how the laws boiled in his body, he could not struggle out. That is, in this moment of opportunity, the god who cast the Time Sutra had already taken the lead in killing him, raised his palm and suppressed him. Exhaustion, annihilation. This god used the terrifying power of time to make King Ming's palms begin to wither, and then become old and lifeless. That's unreasonable. How could I, the ancestor of this domain, be held back by your little doppelganger technique? The holy law of the immortal King of Ming. King Ming roared, and the source of his body vibrated, directly resonating with the great Tao of heaven and earth, and he forced his way out. It's just that he really underestimated the gods of the Ming Palace who represent the limit of Taoism. This is not a clone at all, but the ultimate embodiment of Taoism. Time is distorted and the sword is chopped. The gods roared, and an invisible knife fell on King Ming's body. The next moment, King Ming was horrified to find that his body was in chaos, and every body part was in a different time stage. For example, his head is in childhood, his arms are in old age, and every inch of flesh and blood in his body is divided in detail into 3 stages: youth, middle age, and old age, and they are constantly alternating. The terrible consequence of this is that the origin of his body is directly disrupted. Ah! King Ming was horrified and screamed, and a section of his body turned to ashes, which represented the lowest stage. Life, old age, illness and death are vividly reflected in every part of his body. As an ancestor of a domain, when had King Ming ever faced such a terrifying opponent? On the other side, the blood ancestor who also reached out to take away Qingshu Mountain was also robbed and was targeted by two Ming Palace gods. The power of Tai Kang reverses the chaos of yin and yang. The rules of chaos, life and death in one thought. These two gods represent the Tai Kang Sutra and the Chaos Sutra. After taking action, it is like opening up the ground and opening heaven. Boom! At the moment of the fight, the blood ancestor's arm exploded, the holy blood spilled, and a drop of blood crushed a star. Ah, what kind of method is this? The blood ancestor was shocked. He found that the Taoism in his body was fragile in front of Qi Dao's Taoism. It was easily broken through like a layer of window paper and could not be stopped at all. Seeing that Qi Dao's true form was about to kill him, he became even more anxious, and endured the risk of his arm exploding again and grabbed Qingshu Mountain again. Immortal Transformation. At the critical moment, the god representing the Immortal Transformation Sutra took action, and the terrifying power actually caused the blood ancestor's arm to begin to transform. How can it be? The blood ancestor saw with his own eyes that one of his arms turned into a rain of light and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Even, the power of the Immortal Transformation Sutra is still spreading towards his body. In desperation, he could only cut off his shoulder diagonally, then turned around and ran away. Just wait, I will take revenge one day, the blood ancestor said reluctantly. Qi Dao's strength was beyond their imagination. His true body hadn't even arrived yet, but just by relying on his incarnation, he suffered a big loss and almost turned into a Dao. However, Qi Dao had already targeted them and locked all of them. After Qi Dao held the entire Qingshu Mountain in his hands and confirmed that everyone was fine, he raised his eyes with unlimited killing intent. At this moment, countless stars fell like meteors. The sky is angry and the stars wither. No one can leave today, everyone should stay with me. 5 life palaces, kill. Qi Dao's real body also moved. In an instant, he came to King Ming who was trapped in a time dislocation. At this time, King Ming seemed to be stuck in a quagmire and couldn't get out at all. This is the real power of time, so difficult. Fellow Taoist, I admit that I did something wrong just now, but I can make up for it. Do not kill me, King Ming said in horror. He had lived for hundreds of thousands of years, and today he felt palpitations for the first time, as if he was facing half immortality, so he gave in and began to beg for mercy. Compensate. Go ahead and talk to the King of Hell. Qi Dao's murderous intent was endless, and he pushed out with one palm, condensing the original Taoism in the 5 palaces of life, directly annihilating the starry sky and turning it into eternity. Seeing that there was no hope of begging for mercy, King Ming decisively used his last resort. Immortal Dao armor. Lend me the mighty power of the ancient heroic spirit. King Ming roared angrily, as if he was sublimating, and his whole body was soon covered with a layer of silver armor. At the same time, he seemed to have really summoned the ancient heroic spirit, and his aura began to expand and rise steadily. Cut. Qi Dao had no expression on his face, and despite all the opponent's methods, he could only push with one palm. Boom. At the moment of the collision, King Ming's chest collapsed. Qi Dao broke his so-called immortal armor with one palm, directly destroying his magic. Can the mere old way be compared to the perfection of my way? It's better to let the founder of your old system come. Qi Dao's voice was full of sarcasm. This was the last sentence that King Ming heard. His eyes were full of shock. The next moment, his body exploded. The spiritual platform between Qi Dao's eyebrows glowed, and a shocking light flew out of it, directly killing King Ming's primordial spirit. A supreme being with a holy life level died directly. Ouch! In an instant, the great Tao of the universe wailed, the vision of the holy death reappeared, and there were even tears of heaven shed as a farewell. The supreme being died like this, bleeding into the starry sky. Seeing this scene, whether it was the blood ancestor or the owner of the blood-red spear, these two ancestors ran away without looking back. Saving their lives is more important now. I want to spread the news that the founder of a new system has appeared. This man must not be allowed to live. The blood ancestor is terrified. Oh my God! The supreme being at the holy life level has fallen, the starry sky is raining blood, and the great Tao is weeping and paying tribute. The battle at the highest level ended so quickly, and the winner was decided. Didn't you say that it is difficult to kill an existence of that level? How big is the difference in strength? Feeling the fall of the supreme being, all the creatures in the four realms were terrified. For a time, the creatures in the four regions stopped fighting. Because many people suddenly realized that their so-called struggle for crossing was simply a joke. Even the supreme beings are struggling and dying quickly, and they have no hope at all. What kind of existence is the ancestor of that domain? Who is not an old monster who has lived for hundreds of thousands of years, and was killed like this? At the same time, the great chase in the starry sky began. The owner of the bloody spear is a mutated three-color rock, and now he directly transforms into his true form and uses extreme speed to escape. It has the blood of the legendary Kunpeng in its body, and it can fly hundreds of millions of miles away with its wings. At the same time, the blood ancestor also directly transformed into his true body, a source-devouring insect that was bigger than the stars. Wherever it passed, the starry sky was broken, and countless planets were turned into fly ash. The birds and the insects flew out in different directions, just wanting to escape from this place quickly. If they were allowed to do it over again, they would never take the idea of Qingshu Mountain. However, Qingshu Mountain is really too tempting. Which ancestor-level figure would not be moved by it and not want to fight for it? Start with you first. Qi Dao spotted the three-color Dapeng who provoked him with a spear at first, and chased him directly. With one step forward, Taoism boils, and the sea of stars that spans billions of miles collapses in just the blink of an eye. Nowadays, Qi Dao's physical body and Taoism have reached their limits, and his strength is unparalleled in the past, truly comparable to that of a half-step immortal. What? The three-colored Dapeng was immediately startled. Qi Dao took one step and almost caught up with it, already behind it. Fellow Taoist, misunderstandings are all misunderstandings. I admit that I have been spying on your area for a long time and wanted to lure you away. But I was also deceived. If you want to find it, you should go to the blood ancestor. The three-color Dapeng explained while running for his life. In the distance, the escaped blood ancestor sneezed inexplicably, and an inexplicable chill enveloped his whole body. Is it that turtle grandson who is cursing me behind my back? Then, it ran faster and used its original ancestral skills to escape into the void. At this time, Qi Dao had already taken action, grabbing the three-color Dapeng with his bare hands. I never offend others if they don't offend me. But this time you have set your sights on Qingshu Mountain. I will never let you go even if you have the slightest intention to kill. Today, you will only die. Either I look good for you, or you look good yourself. Qi Dao is full of murderous intent, and the gods in the 5 palaces of life have become one with him and are now chanting sutras. Boom! With just one palm, a vast sea of stars was directly annihilated, and the origin of Taoism that condensed the new system was like a big sun hitting the ancestor Dapeng in front. Fellow Taoist, you have gone too far. I have already bowed my head, but you still don't let me go. You are forcing me. Saint-killing spear. Ancestor Dapeng roared angrily, and the feathers all over his body were shining. Then, a dazzling bloody light shot out from its spine, tearing open the sun and stabbing Qi Dao between the eyebrows. This is a fierce weapon that has truly been bathed in the holy blood. Now it exploded with all its strength, and the bloody aura contained on it directly scattered a large number of stars, and then broke through Qi Dao's palm and approached his eyebrows. The tip of the spear is only 1 inch away from Qi Dao's eyebrows. Did you succeed? Ancestor Dapeng was pleasantly surprised. However, the next moment, its smile froze. Because a god emerged from Qi Dao's spiritual platform, with a detached aura, and blasted away the saint-killing spear with one punch. Before the weapon spirit of the saint-killing spear could react, Qi Dao had already grabbed the saint-killing spear with his bare hands and broke it directly in the middle. Puff! The main body of the divine weapon was damaged, and the ancestor Dapeng also suffered a terrible backlash, spurting out a large mouthful of blood. My saint weapon. It was extremely desperate. It was the saint weapon who had fulfilled the holy destiny together with it. As a result, it was vulnerable to Qi Dao's hands and was broken directly. At this time, Qi Dao came with half a spear tip that had lost its spirituality, and directly pierced the body of Patriarch Dapeng with one spear. Ah! The ancestor of Dapeng clearly sensed the new system of Taoism transmitted from the tip of the spear, ignored the laws in its body, and then penetrated its origin and cut off its primordial spirit. Another ancestor was killed, and was nailed to death in the starry sky by his own leader. Next, Qi Dao turned around with murderous intent, ignoring the vibrations in the universe, and was paying homage to the death of another holy life. This is bound to be a terrible day. Even across the endless sea of stars, the ancestors who each controlled a star domain all saw the strange phenomenon deep in the starry sky. Another ancestor-level figure has fallen. Is it the ancient Lanzis? Unlikely. The ancient lunatic did not go in that direction and took the initiative to enter the restricted area. Then why can two supreme beings fall in succession in one day? Could it be that the beings in the restricted area came out on their own initiative? Many ancestors were fearful and inexplicably panicked. At the same time, Qi Dao tracked the breath of the blood ancestor all the way and was approaching. Even though the blood ancestor hid his aura all the way, Dao found it directly through the thread of cause and effect. Get out! Qi Dao punched the starry sky and the void directly exploded. Then, a terrible wave hurt the blood ancestor, causing it to cough up blood. It was unbelievable. How could you be so fast? Blood ancestor said in shock. A very bad thought came into its mind. Could it be that the ancestor Dapeng is dead? That's not your concern anymore. Qi Dao's killing intent boiled over and he took action again. This time it was the Time Sutra. The Great Time Technique. Turn back the years. Qi Dao's body used time magic, and the rich man was even more horrified. In the big universe, it seems that the entire universe has gone back in time, making the blood ancestors who originally fled look like they have gone backwards. Then, Qi Dao struck out with a palm, causing the blood ancestor's body to explode. Infinite blood escape. The blood ancestor did not die. He immediately used the supreme secret technique and reshaped his body to escape again. However, this time its body has become much smaller. This is definitely a half-step immortal level of strength. I hate that the dead bird didn't find out the situation clearly. As the blood ancestor fled, he cursed in his heart. On the way to escape, its body was smashed to pieces by Qi Dao 3 times in a row, but it survived through infinite blood escape to reorganize its flesh and blood. Of course, its body also became only the size of a huge boulder. You can run so well, let's see how long you can run. Qi Dao presses harder and harder, knowing that its ability to survive is completely overdrawing its roots, and it will probably be unable to escape in 2 more times. But not long after, a vast star domain appeared, full of vitality and filled with the aura of the ancestors. Blood ancestor burst into tears immediately. It finally arrived. Kong Zan, fellow Taoist, save me Ling. Blood ancestor shouted, shaking the entire star domain. However, just as Nakong Zan came out with a fly whisk in hand, the blood ancestor was killed by Qi Dao with a palm, and he could no longer escape through blood escape. Seeing this scene, Kong Zan, who had just appeared, was stunned, and his outstretched hand stopped in midair. And when Qi Dao's terrifying gaze swept over him, he subconsciously squeezed out a stiff smile. Fellow Taoist misunderstood. I don't know this guy. It's you. Qi Dao stood in the starry sky, looking at Kong Zan, who appeared across the sea of stars. The holy blood of the blood ancestor still remains on his body. He is obviously very ethereal, but he looks like a war immortal. The moment they looked at each other, Kong Zan shivered for no reason, realizing how terrifying Qi Dao was. The ancestor of the clan was beaten to death in front of him. Now, the great Tao of heaven and earth is still wailing in my ears, paying homage to the supreme being at the level of holy life. We've met before, Fa. You forgot, I went to your teaching to give you gifts before. There is no grudge between us. And don't worry, I have absolutely nothing to do with this old guy. I have no conscience whatsoever. Kong Zan was very nervous and quickly explained, fearing that Qi Dao would turn his back and kill him in the starry sky. Seeing this scene, Kong Zan's descendants were all shocked and dumbfounded. Isn't the ancestor aloof? Why am I a little scared when I look at him now? Is that young man in white the ancient madman who was born? Is there anything going on here? Shish. Within the huge star domain, there are all descendants of Kong Zan, and the group is very large. But now they all feel suffocated by the arrival of Qi Dao, and they all look up to the sky nervously. I remember you. Qi Dao had no unnecessary response. Since the other party said that he had nothing to do with the blood ancestor, he was too lazy to pursue anything. However, just when he turned around and was about to leave, Kong Zan suddenly stopped him. Fellow Taoist, wait, There is another half of the holy medicine plant here in Pindao, and I gave it to fellow Taoist as well. Fellow Taoist, don't get me wrong. Ping Dao received the Taoist teachings from fellow Taoist last time. He benefited a lot and felt that he was lacking, so he made up for the remaining holy medicine. Please, fellow Taoist must accept it. Kong Xuanpi smiled but gave away another half of a holy medicine plant, which was a complete holy medicine plant like the one he sent last time. However, due to the suppression of the Dharma ending age, this half of the holy medicine plant is already dying, and its grade is about to drop. Gain much. Can some of the new system's Taoist methods also benefit a lot? Qi Dao only thought it was funny in his heart. It was not a new system of cultivation, and no one could tell the clues. This is obviously nonsense. However, Qi Dao didn't care whether the person was sincere or fake, so he took the remaining half of his holy medicine and left. The moment he saw Qi Dao off, Kong Zan broke into a cold sweat, and only then did he truly relax. Ancestor, is that man a madman from ancient times? A junior asked timidly. It was the first time he saw his ancestor so panicked. Shish, he's not, but I think he's not much worse than that lunatic. The news can be released at that time. Judging from the aggressiveness of the ancient madman, he will definitely come to you. Remember, the highest level cannot be said too much, nor can it be extinguished. Kong Zan warned his younger generation. Later, he felt relieved and began to consider the news brought to him by the ancestor of extreme profundities. Gutuo Star Domain is being targeted. How many old monsters are working together to get something cheap? If we go now, we might be able to get a share of the pie, get some of the source of the holy life, and be able to maintain the tribe for a while. Kong Zan was thinking. The death of a supreme being will leave behind an extremely strong legacy. Not only can it sustain its own consumption for up to a month, but it can also provide its own tribe with the ability to maintain their cultivation for a period of time. Not to mention, it can also swallow up the ethnic group left behind by the Supreme Being after its death and turn it into its original form. Later, he felt a little regretful, because Qi Dao was too cruel when he killed him just now, and directly destroyed the origin of the blood ancestor, leaving nothing behind. Forget it. Let's start talking about Star Domain. Qi Dao returned all the way and once again reached the remote universe where the 4 domains were located, only to find that not a single hair was left there. It wasn't because of the collision when they fought before, but because a supreme being appeared later and ate the entire 4 realms. The 4 realms are gone. Qi Dao took out Qingshu Mountain, walked into the mountain again, and told the elders and others the news. Upon hearing the news, Elder Qingshu and others were moved, with sadness behind them. Billions of people simply disappeared and turned into the origin of others. If you don't reach the realm of holy destiny, you are just an ant in the eyes of the Supreme Being. That's the place where we lived for thousands of years, but now it's gone. The Supreme Elders sighed in their hearts and felt sad in their hearts. This is the cruelty of the Dharma ending era. Without the protection of the Supreme Being, once you are targeted, others will eat you as they pass by, leaving not even a speck of dirt behind. The situation is indeed very serious, much more terrifying than I imagined. Even when I was here, there were people who wanted to lure the tiger away from the mountain and capture Qingshu Mountain. Qi Dao said expressionlessly. Qingshu Mountain is the only treasure land he created that can ignore the erosion of the Great Tao. It is not an exaggeration to call it a fairy land, and it will naturally attract people's envy. After thinking for a moment, Qi Dao decided to take Qingshu Shan with him and not reveal it easily. As for where to put it, Qi Dao already has a good place in mind. Then, he informed Elder Qingshu and others of his thoughts. After learning that Qi Dao was going to put the entire Qingshu Mountain into the Ming Palace, all the elders and disciples were surprised. Aren't those your 5 internal organs? If you put such a big mountain in the Life Palace, it will really be fine. Yu Xuanzi thought for a while and said. In response, Qi Dao smiled and answered. Master, please rest assured, with my current means, a stone can fill up the sea, and a mountain can be turned into a particle of dust and enter the Palace of Life. This is not a problem. Really, everyone was shocked and discovered that Qi Dao directly used the divine ability to turn the entire Qingshu Mountain into a particle of dust, which was then absorbed into the Ming Palace. For a moment, they felt like they were about to undergo a mortal transformation. You know, this is the life palace of Qi Dao, the place where the Taoism of the new system originated. The Taoist rules contained in it are simply unimaginable. Have I entered the real fairy palace? Staying here, I feel like my cultivation level will grow rapidly without any need for cultivation. Elder Qingshu was excited, and then his body trembled slightly. Elder, you can stay peacefully in the palace of life. It's so chaotic outside, I don't have to worry about anything when I walk alone in the world. Qi Dao said, the elders naturally have no objections, this is already the best solution. That is, after settling down in Qingshu Mountain, a piece of blood-stained paper suddenly came across the vast sea of stars, and it turned out to be for help. Fellow Taoist. Can you help my tribe survive this disaster? There was such a sentence on the paper stained with holy blood, and the aura on it felt very familiar to Dao. Soon, Qi Dao thought that the owner of this holy blood was Shi Tuo, the ancestor known as Ji Tuo. I once promised that I owed him a favor and could protect his tribe from a disaster. Unexpectedly, Shi Tuo would come asking for help so soon. Qi Dao did not hesitate and decisively tore the void apart, heading towards the other end of the universe. Gutuo Star Domain. Hundreds of billions of stars were shaken down by the mighty monster Qi, losing their vitality and vitality. Ancestor Shi Tuo's body was half disabled, his bones were clearly exposed, and his holy blood spilled into the starry sky, which was shocking. And on his back is a big star, which is his ancestral star. The ancestral star is his place of origin, and it is naturally filled with members of his stone clan, numbering in the tens of billions. At this point, he was carrying the entire clan on his back and fighting bloody battles, and the murderous intent in him never ceased. However, the three old monsters he faced were too terrifying. Each of them became enlightened millions of years ago, and they have been premeditated to target this place from the beginning. Ancestor, put down the ancestral star. As long as you are here, Ancestor, our stone clan will live forever. In this age of Dharma ending, Ancestor, you must give up everything before you can leave. Among the ancestral stars on Shi Tuo's back, the descendants of the stone clan were all moved, extremely sad, and did not want their ancestors to die here. If I lose my clan members, what can I do if I am alone? Even if I fight with the entire ancestral star on my back, I will fight my way out and see you leave safe and sound. Ancestor Shi Tuo roared angrily, the holy blood in his body was burning, he was sublimating himself, and he was going to fight for the last time. At the same time, he thought of Qi Dao. Forget it, I'm afraid that fellow Taoists coming will not help. There are too many enemies here. I shouldn't ask him for help. I hope he won't come. Ancestor Shi Tuo secretly sighed in his heart, Qi Dao should not be dragged down. He knew very well that he had reached the end, and the moment he was jointly targeted by the three old monsters was irreversible. Not to mention that there are several ancestor-level figures secretly watching, all wanting a piece of the pie. He. Gutuo, are you still there? You can't escape now. Your fate has already been determined. No one can save you today. An old monster spoke. It appears here in the form of its true body, a Gu worm, with monster power on its body, and is revered as a Gu saint. He became enlightened millions of years ago and was already famous. The two old monsters beside it are also of good origin. All the ancestor-level figures present were amazed. In addition to the Gu saint of the Gu tribe, there were also the monster saint ancestor Shutian of the Zerg tribe and the old monster devouring heaven Tengsu of the demon vine tribe. Three old monsters were born together. They were already famous and even notorious for their cruelty a million years ago. Especially the ancestors of the demonic vine clan, who stepped on the bones of their own clan to achieve their holy destiny. They were especially cruel and vicious. They shocked several vast star domains millions of years ago, and no one dared to provoke them. An ancestor was secretly exclaiming that anyone targeted by these three old monsters would be terrified. When the war first broke out, these three old monsters had already devoured a large area of life planets in Gutuo star domain to replenish their source. Gu Tuo, what are you still insisting on? At your level, we are still fighting for the so-called ethnic group. It is simply ridiculous. You can't even protect yourself, and you still want to protect your own tribe. Why don't you donate your ancestral star to me, maybe I can be more lenient to you. The heaven-devouring vine ancestor sneered sadly. It is not in a hurry to take action, and is ready to break down Gu Tuo's psychological defense first and see Gu Tuo's ferocious and helpless side. It takes pleasure in this. Roll, you bloodthirsty demon vine, do you think I am as cold-blooded as you are? You swallowed up your own tribe without hesitation at the beginning of the age of ending Dharma. What kind of holy destiny do you think you are? Gu Tuo scolded. The methods of this heaven-swallowing vine ancestor are so vicious and ruthless that they can even swallow their own clan, shocking the world. As soon as he finished speaking, Gu Tuo took action, his holy blood burned fiercely, and he tried his best to send his ancestral star out. Ancestor. On the ancient Tuo ancestor star, countless stone tribe creatures are weeping. The ancestor is exchanging his own life for their future. Boom. The war broke out immediately. Gu Tuo fought 1 against 3, trying to kill all the blood. How can we become enlightened if we have too many obstacles? In this age of law ending, ethnic groups are nothing but a drag. It seems you still don't understand this. In this case, I will destroy your tribe first, and then enjoy your origin. The heaven-devouring Tengsu sneered. On its body, blood-colored vines condensed by laws appeared directly, killing the big star on Gu Tuo's back like a divine chain of order. Whoosh! Countless blood vines are intertwined, all of them are bloodthirsty. Dream! Gu Tuo coughed up a piece of holy blood and blocked the entire ancestral planet. The burning holy blood could block monster chi in the blood vine. But he couldn't hold on anymore because he was so overstretched, let alone facing the ancestors of the Gu clan and the ancestors of the Zerg clan. Kill him as soon as possible, don't attract the attention of other old monsters here. The old monster of the Gu tribe takes action, bringing with it the power that can erode the mind and flesh, and can even briefly control Gu Tuo's mind. Ah! Gu Tuo spurted blood on the spot and was in agony. At the same time, the blood vines broke through the burning holy blood, and vines came from outside the sky to pierce the entire ancestral star of the Stone clan. One of the particularly thick blood vines unexpectedly penetrated Gu Tuo's chest and began to absorb his holy blood. An ancestor is coming to an end. An ancestor is about to die, and this is your chance. Fortunately, it came in time, otherwise it wouldn't be hot enough. I have to say, these 3 old monsters are really cruel. I have to stay away from them next time. In the starry sky, 6 ancestors walked out together. They were all ancestors of their respective star domains. Among them were Kong Zan and extreme profundities. But just when Gu Tuo was on the verge of death, a huge terrifying pressure appeared. At this moment, all the ancestors present changed their colors and felt a great sense of suffocation. Before the ancestors could react, a big foot stepped onto the shattering void and appeared in the air. Boom! The sea of stars exploded. The power of this kick was too great, and the target was very clear. It stepped directly on the head of the sky-devouring Tengsu. Be bold. Who dares to cause trouble and want to pick peaches on the way? The heaven-devouring vine ancestor was immediately angry. Who dared to step on its head with your foot? However, it wasn't just it that was robbed. The old monster Gu Saint of the Gu clan and the ancestor Shudian of the Zerg clan were both forced back at the same time. One punch and one palm fell from the void. The Taoist methods were terrifying. Who is it? The 3 old monsters were furious that someone dared to do this to them. What made them most frustrated was that the man in the dark fought against the 3 of them and forced them back. 3 of you, I owe Patriarch Gu Tuo a favor. I want to keep his clan safe this time. You can leave on your own. The true form of Qi Dao appeared, and the 5 palaces of life resonated in unison, ethereal and peerless. When he saw the familiar figure actually appear, the dying ancestor Gu Tuo burst into tears on the spot. Fellow Taoist, you're actually here. Gu Tuo was extremely moved. He didn't expect that Qi Dao would actually come to kill him as soon as he sent a letter asking for help. Such a great kindness, he silently remembered it in his heart. Of course I'm coming. Since I promised, there is no reason not to come. You can rest in peace and recuperate, leave this place to me. Qi Dao said calmly, but Gu Tuo was excited again and burst into tears. But soon, he calmed down again, knowing that it was difficult for Qi Dao to cope alone. Fellow Taoist, I am the one who dragged you down this time. There are too many enemies here. Please leave me alone and leave quickly. Gu Tuo said bitterly. His origin was damaged, and most of the holy blood in his body was lost, making him half dead. Even if he manages to survive this time, he will definitely not be able to withstand the oppression of the great Tao of heaven and earth and will perish. If Qi Dao is still injured here, or even loses his life, he will feel guilty even if he dies. If you leave now, it's still too late. That's not okay. If you promise, you must do it. I will definitely help your tribe survive this disaster. Not to mention, these old monsters can't threaten me. Qi Dao said with a relaxed expression, which made Ji Yutuo stunned. Is Qi Dao really confident that he can fight 1 against 3? That's an old monster who became enlightened millions of years ago. At the same time, the expression of Patriarch Kong Zan who had just appeared changed immediately, and he turned around and left. Fellow Taoist, what's wrong with you? Extreme Profundities noticed the movement and turned around to ask, a little confused as to why Kong Zan ran away as soon as he saw Qi Dao appear. He had seen Qi Dao before, but he didn't think Qi Dao had any great ability to stop the 3 old monsters. Go quickly. Don't blame me for not warning you. Don't go into this muddy water. That person is scary. Kong Xuanla said from a distance, and the psychological shadow appeared directly. The scene of the blood ancestor dying in front of him was still vivid in his mind, and it had only passed not long ago. He didn't expect to meet Qi Dao again here, and he secretly said it was bad luck. Scary. Fellow Taoist, at your and my level, what is the real terror? Why are you so frightened? Extreme Profundities became more and more confused and couldn't figure it out. Finally, Kong Zan explained, not wanting his old friend to be dragged into the water. Look at him, there is blood from more than one saint. Not long ago, the blood ancestor was shot to death in front of me. He didn't even have the strength to resist. This is a terrible executioner who can hunt down holy orders at will. I suspect that he has reached the level of semi-immortality. Kong Zan said quickly. Half-immortality. Extreme Profundities was shocked and looked at Qi Dao again and again. It was hard for him to imagine that this young-looking man could achieve half-immortality. You know, there are less than 2 hands of half-step immortals in the entire universe, but they are all famous. Walk. Kong Zan said no more, turned around and left. As for Extreme Profundities, it's hard to persuade the devil, just let him go. How can you achieve great things with this little courage? Not to mention, there are several ancestors here, so what's there to be afraid of? Half-step immortality is not a cabbage, how can it appear out of thin air? Extreme Profundities believed in its own judgment and figured that it was time to draw a clear line between itself and Kong Zan, a timid and fearful person. In Star Domain, Qi Dao faced 3 old monsters on his own, with overwhelming momentum and not even an inch of concession. Didn't you hear what I said? I'm not negotiating with you, I'm telling you to get out. I've guaranteed Gutuo's fate, it's useless for anyone to come. Qi Dao was even more rude this time. Since he promised Ji Yutuo to protect his tribe from this disaster, he would naturally not break his promise and would help to the end. Hearing this, the heaven-devouring vine ancestor was immediately angry. Qi Dao had just stepped on it to make him resentful, and now he dared to scold them 3 venerable monsters. This is so boring. Boy, I don't care who you are, if you dare to interfere, I will make you regret your birth. Do you think you are invincible because you have achieved the holy destiny at such a young age? I'm here to break your ridiculous fantasy. The heaven-swallowing vine ancestor was furious, and his incarnation appeared. It was a blood vine rooted in the void. Its main vine is so tall that it reaches into the sky and sinks into the depths of the sky, with no end in sight. And on the main vine, there are countless vines swaying, and each vine has corpses hanging on it, belonging to creatures of all races. There is even a head of a holy being hanging on its main vine, which still exudes saint-level fluctuations. That is a symbol of its evil reputation. Oh my God! The heavenly demon vine is well deserved for its name. Its body is rooted in the void and can swallow everything. There is no upper limit. It is said that if the heavenly demon vine is allowed to grow, it will swallow the great Tao and replace it in the future. Moreover, the demonic vine clan has a destiny ancestral technique that can temporarily disable the opponent's Taoism, which is very fatal. This kid is in danger if he insists on pushing forward. Isn't that just right? One more source of holy life to devour. Those who watch the fun never think it's a big deal, and they all look high-spirited. At this moment, when the devouring heaven vine ancestor took action, even the Gu Saint and the old monster Chu Tian stayed away, fearing that they would be affected. Do you know, I once devoured a large area of star domain. I personally beheaded a creature at the level of the holy life and swallowed its origin. That was 1,000,000 years ago. Now, I need more of your withered bones to add to the supreme glory on my main vine. The heaven-devouring vine ancestor sneered, and as the vines swayed, the surrounding void was shattered. Thousands of vines appeared out of thin air, exploded behind Qi Dao, and stabbed directly into his chest and head. This was so sudden, no one knew when the heaven-devouring Tengsu made his move, and he was completely caught off guard. Fellow Taoist, Ji Yu Tuo's expression suddenly changed, and his heart skipped a beat, knowing that Qi Dao was in danger and there was no way he could react. Boom! Sure enough, Qi Dao didn't expect that he couldn't react at all and was penetrated by thousands of vines. The heaven-devouring vine ancestor has a bright smile. He has tried this trick repeatedly and always achieves unexpected results. Boy, you are too young. I will drain you alive and turn you into a mummy. The heaven-devouring Tengsu laughed and started to take action. However, it quickly stopped and found that its blood vine could not extract the essence from Qi Dao's body. What's even more terrifying is that it felt an incomparably vast power, with the power of real fire spreading along its blood. Tang Zu's tens of millions of blood vines were directly ignited. That was the original Dao fire of the new system, which was no worse than the Great Dao disaster. Therefore, at the moment of ignition, the situation was reversed in an instant, and Fujizu was screaming. I thought you really had 2 brushes, but it seems like nothing more than that. Qi Dao spoke indifferently, and the blood hole on his body healed instantly, without even a drop of blood falling. How can it be? There's nothing wrong with him. That's Ji Yu Tang Patriarch's sure kill technique. Once you succeed, you won't be able to get rid of it no matter how powerful you are. Back when Ji Yu Tang Patriarch relied on this great killing technique, he successfully killed an ancestor when he first became a holy man. This person actually blocked it. What is his origin? Seeing the ancient vine old demon ignited by Dao fire, extreme profundities and others were shocked and moved by it. No one knows the horror of this old monster better than them, it has too many tricks. Ah! At this moment, the ancient vine old demon screamed, and every vine was stained with terrifying Dao fire. It has even begun to spread along the vine to its main vine. In desperation, it had to quickly cut off part of its own vines to save its life. Otherwise, it feels like it will be burned through and its origin will be damaged. Human race, I'm angry. Burning my rattan will destroy the essence of my body. I want you to repay the price tens of millions of times. This star domain will all be buried with it. Blood vine kills the sky. The old demon Ji Yu Tang completely exploded and used pressure. Boom! The place where the ancient vine and old demon took root, the void was shattered, all the rules of the universe were destroyed, and it was pierced by the terrifying blood vine. At this moment, the monstrous monster on it poured into the depths of the sky, as if it had alarmed the great Tao, and there was a faint light of calamity emerging. Click, click, click. Within the starry sky with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, vines appear out of thin air. They are intricate and intricate. They are all vines extending from the body of the ancient vine old demon. They are crazily rooted in the power of rules. Seeing this scene, even those ancestors had to retreat, feeling horrified. The supreme ancestral art of the demonic vine clan can ignore the great Tao and break all laws. As soon as this technique comes out, the sky and the earth will be eclipsed. I doubt that this ancient vine old demon is about to reach the state of semi-immortality. How can it be so terrifying? Hurry up, the entire star domain is covered, and all the creatures inside must die. The ancestors, without exception, stayed away from this place as quickly as possible, for fear of being affected by the terrifying methods of the ancient vine old demon. And in the center area, the blood vines are like cages, already shrouding Qi Dao and Gutuo ancestor. Both Qi Dao and ancestor Gutuo can clearly sense the sharp edge on each rattan, which is enough to pierce the existence of the holy life level. Fellow Taoist, this is the ancestral skill of the demon vine clan, but it ignores all laws. I shouldn't have dragged you into it. Ancestor Ji Yu Tuo is desperate again. How can he escape with this method? The blood vine can ignore all methods and penetrate directly to the source. It is the thing that practitioners are most afraid of and least want to encounter, because it is too difficult to deal with and all methods are useless. It doesn't matter. It's just a small road, nothing worth mentioning. Qi Dao said calmly. He opened his Dharma eyes and saw through the essence of the blood vine at a glance. He just relied on the power of the rules of the world to ignore all laws. But that is the law of the universe in the old way, and it is difficult to interfere with his new system. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Dao took action, causing a sensation in the Life Palace. One fist was punched out with the time technique, and the other palm was clapped out with the Chaos Sutra. In an instant, Taoism boiled, and Qi Dao was covered in holy light, as if he was going to ascension. You still dare to resist, you don't know whether to live or die. I will beat you to death. Swallow people, swallow heaven, swallow Tao. The ancient vine old demon took action, and every vine was like a divine chain of order. It was so terrifying. At the moment of collision, the fists of Blood Vine and Qi Dao both burst into Taoist power, evolving into the life and death of a star domain. On top of the Blood Vine, an ordinary vine evolves to absorb the power of heaven and earth, grow rapidly, and then swallow the sky and the earth, and the demons swallow the world. And on Qi Dao's fist, the power of time evolved from time magic, and vague shadows appear in the past, present and future. In the end, countless Qi Dao came out of the scroll of ancient, modern and future, exactly like him, and they all hit the blood vine with their fists. Reverse the chaos of time, forever. Qi Dao swung his fist and directly smashed the magic vine in front of him, and slapped out the Chaos Sutra with one palm, annihilating everything. Ignore all Taoist rules. Break. Old demon Ji Yu Tang was anxious. He didn't expect Qi Dao's methods to be so terrifying. However, its so-called Taoist immunity has been seen through by Qi Dao. With one punch, Qi Dao's past, present and future appeared, shattering everything with his supreme punch, and annihilating everything no longer existing. Boom. The old demon Ji Yu Tang was directly beaten to pieces. The so-called disregard of all methods was as fragile as paper in front of Qi Dao, and it broke directly with a poke. Ah, how can it be? How could my ancestral skills fail? Why can't I ignore your Taoist rules? The ancient vine old demon was blasted with one punch, the main vine was torn apart, and the monstrous monster Qi was swept away in an instant. This punch is so amazing. Whether it was the ancestors in the distance, or the Ji Yu Saint and the ancestor Shudian who were with old demon Guvine, they were all shocked to the extreme. The extremely powerful ancestral art of the Gutang old demon clan was broken like this. Quote. What does ignoring all the laws of the old way have to do with me? If this is what you are proud of, I think it can be over. Qi Dao was extremely fierce and domineering, and his clean punch shocked the hearts of the ancestors present. Ancestor Ji Yu Tuo felt even more incredible when he saw this scene. Qi Dao was like a god descending from heaven, so powerful. What did you say? My Gutang clan is not weaker than others, and our ancestral skills can ignore all methods. How can we not be your opponent? The old demon Ji Yu Tang went crazy and quickly regrouped. But at this time, its origin has been damaged, and it was suppressed by the great Tao of heaven and earth, and its strength is declining rapidly. This time, it worked hard. The blood vine demon seed uses your flesh and blood as nourishment to reshape my second-generation body. The old demon Ji Yu Tang roared angrily, Jiao Jiaos, and used the forbidden technique. However, its so-called blood vine demonic seed was directly noticed by Qi Dao. When the so-called seed approached the center of his eyebrows, the god sitting in the spiritual platform punched it out. There are gods on the Lingtai who are in charge, so that they are invincible and the evil spirits are hard to get close to. Boom. The demon species was destroyed, and the hope of the ancient Tao old demon was completely cut off. Ah, the old demon Ji Yu Tang coughed up blood and could feel that his cultivation and longevity were being quickly chopped off by the great Tao of heaven and earth. It is unwilling to give in and still can't figure out where it lost. Die. Qi Dao took a step forward. This time it was the immortal transformation scripture, and he was punched by him. This time, the ancient vine old demon completely exploded, the primordial spirit was extinguished, and it could no longer die. After the battle, Qi Dao's white clothes fluttered, and the holy blood stained him made his aura even more peerless and transcendent, like a war immortal. The Ji Yu Saint of the Ji Yu clan and the old demon Shudian were shocked on the spot. A great sad song to bid farewell to the fall of the holy life. In Gutuo star domain, the howling of the great Tao of heaven and earth sounded, and the sound of the great Tao echoed in everyone's ears. At this moment, the ancestors here were dumbfounded. The ancient vine old demon was beaten to death, and in the end, only a field of decaying vines was left, returning to heaven. A terrifying figure who was famous a million years ago was beaten to death like this. Who is this person? What is his cultivation level? I have never heard of such a person before. I feel that he is no worse than that lunatic from ancient times. Before, I witnessed an ancient madman blowing up an ancestor, and it was a similar situation. But this is the ancestor of the ancient vine. His ancestral skills are against the sky and can ignore the opponent's Taoism. Why doesn't it take effect on him? Several ancestors were looking at this place across the distant sea of stars, feeling inexplicably shocked. The scene just now was really terrifying. At this time, Extreme Profundities, who was with several ancestors, suddenly thought of something. He did not forget that he had gone to Qi Dao to seek Taoism before, and found that it could slow down the decline of the realm. Although after further suppression in the age of ending Dharma, the Dharma had become ineffective, it really shocked him. I remembered, he does not practice the same system as we do. He calls our Tao body the old way. Moreover, he has successfully survived the past, present and future tribulations, safe and sound. It was too low, it felt like suffocation. When Kong Zan told him before, he didn't feel anything, but after seeing Qi Dao killing an old monster, he also felt a terrible feeling in his heart. A different body refining system. Have you survived the past, present and future tribulations? Isn't that the legendary catastrophe that only the founder of our current Taoist system successfully survived? This kid, he really did it. Extreme Profundities, don't talk nonsense, don't mess with our minds. What you mean by this is that he created a new system of body refining. Don't forget, we are now in the end of the Dharma era. The four ancestors around Extreme Profundities were all shocked and couldn't believe this. Because there is too much involved. Who can go against heaven in the age of Dharma ending? This is absolutely impossible. If I hadn't seen his transcending tribulation scene from afar, I wouldn't have believed it. If you don't believe it, you can go to Kong Zan for confirmation. Extreme Profundities exclaimed. At this level, he naturally understands how terrifying it is to create a new system in the end of the Dharma era. It is very possible that the Qi Dao in front of you is the anchor that changes everything, and involves the great cause and effect of the entire world. The four ancestors still don't believe it. After all, the matter is too big. No one can believe it unless they have witnessed it with their own eyes. At this time, the Ji-Yu Saint and the old demon Shudian, monster Qi Gungan, prepared to avenge the dead old demon Gutang. Fellow Taoist, you have no enmity with us in the past and have no enmity in the recent past. Why do you have to be our enemy? In this era, you can't protect yourself, so you have to intervene. Ji-Yu Saint spoke, but his attention was focused on the origin of the holy path left behind after the death of the old demon Ji-Yu Tang. That ball of soft holy light is extremely attractive. After taking it, it can slow down their decline in realm and block the suppression of heaven and earth for a certain period of time. This is also the reason why the two old monsters still refused to leave after seeing Qi Dao forcefully kill the old monster Ji-Yu Tang. The origin of the holy way is too precious, and no one is willing to give it up easily. At the same time, this is also the inner thought of Extreme Profundities and others. They are all eyeing the origin of the holy way and want to get a piece of the pie. Otherwise, as time goes by, the origin of the holy way will dissipate. Qi Dao sneered, stood with his hands behind his hands, and looked at the two old monsters coldly. If you want to take action, do it, why bother talking nonsense? Since I am here to help people survive this disaster, I will help them to the end. There is no reason to give up halfway. Moreover, don't you think that I, like you, need the source of the holy way? Qi Dao said coldly, his voice shaking the star domain. The next moment, he stretched out his palm and directly captured the source of the holy path left by the ancient vine old demon in his hand. This action made all the ancestors BFAF tremble in their hearts. Eyes were cast in different directions, and some were even ready to snatch the origin of the holy way. Ancestor Gutuo, I'll give this to you, use it to repair the origin. Qi Dao said, Contrary to everyone's expectations, he gave the origin of the holy path to ancestor Gu Tuo. When he received a dense and complete source of the holy way, the dying ancestor Gu Tuo was instantly shocked and his eyes widened. Then, his hands were excited and his lips were trembling. Fellow Taoist, this is too precious. I am already a dying man, so I shouldn't waste it like this. Please, fellow Taoist, take it back. Ancestor Gutuo said gratefully. It is quite rare for Qi Dao to come here to help his tribe survive the disaster. How can he dare to ask for the complete origin of the holy way? I don't need it. Qi Dao's words are even more amazing. To him, the origin of this holy way really has no effect at all. As soon as these words came out, there was an ancestor in the secret who couldn't sit still at all. He tore the void and slapped the dying ancestor Gutuo with his bare hands. At the same time, the other hand also grabbed the source of the holy way in Gutuo's hand. The ancestor in secret wants them all. Suddenly, extreme profundities and others couldn't sit still, and were extremely jealous. Maybe they had obtained the source of the two great saints, and they wouldn't have to worry about it for a long time in the future. Kill. Ji Yu Sheng and old demon Chu Tian looked at each other, their hearts moved, and they moved forward together. However, they were too hasty and forgot that Qi Dao existed. Does anyone really dare to cut off Hu at this time? I'll give you 10 lives, do you think you can do it? Qi Dao did not look back, but the sound of great Dao broke out. The next moment, the 5 major life palaces in his body shook, and the 5 major gods rushed out to meet the ancestor who tore through the void and wanted to sneak attack Gu Tuo. Boom! The 5 major scriptures erupted, divine light shrouded them, and the terrifying Taoist power directly knocked the ancestor out of the void. Ah, this is an ancestor of the stone human race. In short, it is a spirit made of stone. At this moment, the stone shell body that he was proud of exploded directly, unable to stop the terrifying area of 5 Days Sutra. Seeing that the situation was not good, he turned around and ran away. However, the time warp exploded and stopped in the void, making it difficult for him to move even an inch. Then, the Tai Kang Sutra, the Chaos Sutra, the Samsara Sutra, and the Immortal Transformation Sutra all erupted with immeasurable divine light, making it impossible for him to avoid it. No, the ancestor of the Stoneman clan was exploded. His body, which was as thick as black gold, could not withstand the terrifying power of the 4 scriptures. It exploded directly, and the holy blood spilled into the starry sky. All this happened in just a few breaths, and another ancestor was killed. This made the ancestors who had just thought about grabbing food from the tiger's mouth stunned on the spot, and the greed in their hearts was defeated by reason. What a joke, an ancestor was killed just after he appeared. The bloody ending of an ancestor lies ahead. This time, not even Ji Yu Saint and old demon Chu Tian dared to act rashly. Qi Dao's terrifying method just now subverted their cognition and made them all frightened. Who can kill the ancestor at the holy life level so easily? That's not a big deal. For people of the same level, it is difficult to kill ancestor level characters, and they need to go through a terrible battle. This can be seen from the fact that the 3 old monsters killed Lai Gutuo's star domain not long ago. The 3 old monsters took action and destroyed a star domain before forcing Gu Tuo to a dead end, which took a lot of time. But the Qi Dao action in front of me was completely different. Ancestor Gutuo, this source of the holy way is for you, just take it with confidence. Since I said I would help you resolve the disaster, I will never break my promise. Qi Dao said to Patriarch Gutuo. Then, in front of the other ancestors here, he gave the origins of the 2 holy paths to Patriarch Gutuo. At this moment, Patriarch Gutuo didn't care about his so-called identity and face at all. He was so excited that he cried loudly and knelt down directly towards Qi Dao to salute him. Fellow Taoist, if I, Gu Tuo, don't die today, I will follow fellow Taoist around and act like a cow or a horse. If you have any assignments in the future, I will never refuse. The ancestor of Gutuo was respectful and grateful to Qi Dao for his great kindness. We'll talk about this later. You first refine the source of the holy way. I'll take care of the next thing. After Qi Dao finished speaking, he glanced at Ji Yu Saint and old demon Chu Tian in front of him. At the same time, his spiritual thoughts swept across the star domain. Extreme profundities and others all felt a chill in their bodies, causing them to break out in cold sweats. Fellow Taoist, you are indeed very powerful. Can you tell me your origins? Fellow Taoist insists on preserving the ancient extension, so we can give in and treat it as a misunderstanding. When the time comes, we go back and ask the master of the Celestial Beast Palace. Maybe we can turn the conflict into friendship. Seeing that the situation was not good, Gu Saint moved out of the huge Celestial Beast Palace behind him. There are thousands of monster races in the world, but the ultimate source of bloodline is in the Celestial Beast Palace. Even the old monsters at their level are just the elders among them, not the main ones. Therefore, he moved directly out of the Celestial Beast Palace to scare Qi Dao. But what he didn't know was that Qi Dao didn't even know what the Celestial Beast Palace was. It doesn't matter what kind of demon palace you are, I Qi Dao have said what I have said and it cannot be changed. Moreover, by turning a fight with you into friendship, is it a knife in my own back? Qi Dao said coldly, with murderous intent surging, making Ji Yu Sheng agitate. The Celestial Beast Saint was even more frightened. How could someone not even know about the Celestial Beast Palace? He thought about Qi Dao's name carefully, but he couldn't connect him with any behemoth, which gave him a headache. You two, it's time to settle the matter. It starts with you and ends with you. With one word, Qi Dao has shaken the 5 major life palaces and used the terrifying methods of the 5 major scriptures. If we don't eradicate the root cause today, these people will definitely not give up. Boom! Qi Dao struck out with a light palm, the boundless sea of stars exploded, and countless stars fell. Kai Celestial Beast Saint and Gu Saint joined forces, but they were both forced back by this palm, and they kept coughing up blood. How can this be? Is he half immortal? Also, what is the origin of the Taoism that explodes in his 5 internal organs? How can anyone not rely on the great Tao of heaven and earth? The 2 old monsters were extremely shocked. They had never seen such a method before. At the scene, only Extreme Profundities was trembling with fear, a pair of eyes staring at Qi Dao's luminous internal organs, which is simply the origin of Taoism and will never be exhausted. Fellow Taoists, you can see that he has an inexhaustible source of Taoism in his body, which can maintain his realm from falling, let alone being suppressed by the great Tao of heaven and earth. This is definitely a new Taoist system. If we can kill him and get the source of Taoism in his body, we will no longer have to worry about anything. Extreme Profundities is eye-catching. As soon as these words came out, the other 4 ancestors were tempted. At this point, they can naturally see that there is something extraordinary about Qi Dao that is completely different from them. But for Extreme Profundities' proposal, no one of the 4 ancestors present dared to agree. Extreme Profundities' fellow Taoist, as you can see, our level is far behind him. If you go up hastily, you will die. Besides, I guess that Gu Saint and ancestor Chu Wei can no longer hold on any longer. One of the ancestors said worriedly. Extreme Profundities came up with an idea that killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Don't worry, 4 of you. Don't forget, this Gu Saint and old demon Chu Tian are both from the Celestial Beast Palace. Once they die, the Celestial Beast Palace will definitely not give up. If we tell the ancestors of the Celestial Beast Palace that someone who developed a new system appears to kill them, and they can ignore the suppression of the great Tao of heaven and earth, how can the ancestor of the Celestial Beast Palace let it go so easily given the character of the ancestors? Extreme Profundities sneered, having made all the plans in his mind. The other 4 ancestors immediately burst into laughter upon hearing this. Wonderful, wonderful. By using the hands of the ancestor of the Celestial Beast Palace to kill this person, we will definitely get benefits by then, and we won't have to worry about the problem of suppression in the age of ending law. The ancestor of the Celestial Beast Palace is truly half immortal, and I heard that the second ancestor has also achieved half immortality. With their help, this matter will definitely be possible. Good. After Extreme Profundities negotiated with the 4 ancestors, they left here directly and went to the Celestial Beast Palace to tell the matter. At this time, Ji Yu Sheng was joining forces with old demon Chu Tian to fight hard against Qi Dao's attack. The divine sound of Ji Yu Dao disturbs your Dao heart. Thousands of insects kill saints. The 2 old monsters both unleashed their strongest strength and fiercely confronted Qi Dao at this moment. But even with all their methods, Qi Dao still suppressed them steadily. Boom! In Qi Dao's body, the 5 life palaces resonated, and the power of Taoism was continuously erupted. First layer followed by first layer swept towards the two old monsters, trying to kill them. Chaos Fist. Immortal Transformation Punch. Qi Dao's real body used two supreme scriptures, and both fists bloomed with extreme power. One fist evolves the way of annihilation, and the other fist evolves the way of transcendence. Boom! Two punches fell, directly breaking Ji Yu Saint's divine voice, and then one punch penetrated its chest, cutting off its primordial spirit. An old monster was killed. Seeing that the situation was not good, the old demon Chu Tian turned around and ran away. However, if Qi Dao wants to eradicate it, how can he let it go? Die. Qi Dao followed up and used law manifestation, one finger stretched across the starry sky, exploding the sea of stars. No, if you kill me, the celestial beast palace ancestor will cut you into pieces with 1,000 knives. The old demon Shutian yelled unwillingly, unwilling to die like this. However, his fate has already been determined. Kill the killer and crush him to ashes. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.